Good morning, everyone. Please, we'll be starting in the next 2 minutes. For those that just joined, like I was saying earlier, please, if you not filled the pre-evaluation form that was sent on the group chat yesterday, please, let's be doing that. We'll just give another 2 minutes for others to join and we'll kick off. Thank you very much. Please, we'll be starting in the next minutes. We'll just give an additional minute for those that are still joining, or we'll start immediately, so we can also end on time. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I hope we are all doing good. So we'll be starting the program now. All those that are joining will join us in the course of the class. So I welcome all of you once again to the Lead4Change Innovators initiative, which is organized by Skills Outside School Foundation. So I'll be giving a brief overview of Skills Outside School Foundation. I'll also be giving a brief overview of the projects and the objective of this masterclass. So the Skills Outside School Foundation is a lead. Please, can we mute ourselves if we're not speaking? Thank you very much. Please, can we mute ourselves if we're not speaking? Thank you very much. The Skills Outside School Foundation is a leading African education, employability, and entrepreneurship organization. Our core vision over the years has been to bring about productive human capital, driving transformational socio-economic development globally. We have 3 core pillars, which we've been working through over the years, which are data, intervention, and advocacy, which we've been working over the last 6 years in our operations. We've worked with over 700 volunteers, which includes business mentors, career mentors, and trainers. We've also had over our operations over the years, we've also had over 150 international and local partners, including UNICEF, International Institute for Tropical Agriculture, Access Bank, ACT Foundation, Bank of Agriculture, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory Secondary Education Board, Smile African Trust, Opportunity Desk, Roots to Fruit Foundation, Volunteer in Nigeria, and Nigerian National Youth Service. We have supported over 2,000 youths and adults in Nigeria through our various interventions, and we've also indirectly impacted nearly 2,000 people. So we are all here for the Lead4Change Innovators initiative. I'll be giving a brief overview so that we can know why we are here. I'll also be talking about the stages and what it entails and prizes that will be won in different stages so that we know what we are doing. So a while back, SOSF put a call out for applications for change makers to apply to more or less like identify problems in their society, in their community, to also prefer solutions to these problems. So I'll just be giving a brief overview of this project. So the Lead4Change Innovators was an open call to change makers, like I said earlier, to entrepreneurs, to educationalists, to professionals and community-based initiatives. This was to share with the world solutions they have developed to these problems they have identified in their community or in their society. And this year, the theme is aimed at recognizing the 3 most innovative solutions in the education sector in order to present the present day challenges that different places are. We are coming from different African countries. We have people from Kenya, we have people from Ethiopia, from Nigeria, South Africa, and Ghana. So there are a lot of problems that we face in that our communities, what we have identified. So this is why we brought this to bring about like a solution to these problems, enhancing our problem solving skills so that these problems can contribute to the reduction of these problems. The main objective of this Lead4Change Innovations program is to promote creativity and innovation among we change makers that are here. We are all change makers, to connect change makers with funding, mentoring, and other resources in order to transform their audacious ideas. These ideas are really audacious, challenging this problem so that we can provide solutions to them into a scalable and sustainable venture, in order to also reduce employability, in order to also spur economic growth at the grassroots level, while also drawing attention to these change makers. What that just means is that when we are participating in our various actions in order to reduce or to solve these problems, attentions are also being drawn to us as change makers, that we're making a change in our society, we're making a change in our community, in order to also bring about this, in order to increase the rate of employment and the rest. Indeed, you all on this call will agree with me that supporting African innovation is a path to sustainable development. So I'll be taking us through the stages of the Lead4Change so that we can make informed decisions as time goes on. So the main goal of this is the first stage of the Lead4Change, which is the Masterclass. The main goal for this Masterclass is to equip participants to implement or scale their solutions as projects or enterprises. So I'll be sharing my screen right now just to take us through different stages so that as time goes on, we'll be able to make informed decisions on what stage we want to fall under or what sort of projects or problem we want to solve. So just give me 1 minute. I'll be sharing my screen now. Can someone just unmute to confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it.
Yes. Thank you very much. So there are 2 stages of this Lead4Change. We have the basic Lead4Change and we have the advanced Lead4Change. Now, what's the basic Lead4Change? The basic Lead4Change is for how I put it now? It's for change makers who want to implement a short-term project. So like it says there, it is a social change project innovators. That is those who prefer to execute small scale and short-term social change projects, such as mentoring of 50 girls in one community for 1 year, or provision of free antenatal service using a mobile health care center. It doesn't have to be exactly this project, but it's just like an example that this particular stage is for those that want to just implement a short-term, probably for like a 2 month, 3 months, thereabouts. While we have the advanced Lead4Change, which is for social entrepreneurs who seek to build a long-term social enterprise around their solution. So like I was saying in the beginning, we all submitted solutions problems. Most of us have short-term projects which you just want to execute for a short term, while those who want to make it more advanced, make it a long-term thing. So if you are looking for implementing your projects in a short-term scale, then you fall under the basic Lead4Change. While if you are looking to advance this solution you've brought into a longer term, into like an enterprise, then you fall under the advanced Lead4Change. They are, for the basic Lead4Change, I will just say, so during this stage, change makers that fall under this stage would be implementing whatever solution they brought about, yeah, and they would also have to submit like an intermediary report, like a progress report and a final report. Participation is very, very important and mandatory. Engagement is very important. Interaction is very important, because there will be a graduation for all those successful participants from this basic Lead4Change, and there are prizes to be won. So I will encourage us all to engage, to participate, because it's a very key criteria in even being considered for any of these stages and also for graduation. While the advanced Lead4Change, I'll be going to the prizes to be won, but let me just also explain the advanced Lead4Change. For the advanced Lead4Change here, participants or change makers rather that fall under this stage, they'll undergo a series of training. While also being trained, they'll be undergoing mentorship while also executing their projects. Now, I'll be going to the prizes to be won for each stage for successful participants that will graduate, because you can eventually choose to be in any and you qualify to be in any, but if you don't participate or engage or be active even after you've qualified for these stages, it is very possible that you may not graduate. That's why I'm placing emphasis that participation is very important. Even during this masterclass as we're doing, you know, we have this first stage, which is the building an entrepreneurship mindset, and we have 2 other classes. Participation is even a very important criteria, even though you register to be under any of these, either basic Lead4Change or advanced Lead4Change. If you are not participating in the masterclass, there's a very high possibility that you might not be qualified for any of these stages. So I'm begging all of us to please be to engage, to participate, to interact in all our group tasks. We should be available for all the courses so that we can, you know, we can execute our projects. We can, you know, show people that we are really change makers that want to solve these problems we have brought solutions to and the rest. So I'll not be going through the prizes to be won for each stage. Okay. Yes. So for all the graduates that's all the participants, all the change makers, let me be using change makers because we are change makers. So all the change makers that graduate from the basic Lead4Change will receive the following prizes upon graduation. We have a certificate of completion, badge of honor for placements on their CVs, their social media accounts, their handles, website. We have a free CV cover letter reviewed by the SOSF Skills Outside School Foundation team. We also graduates will also join the Lead4Change Innovators alumni network. So we have like alumni network in the sense that when we graduate, we'll now be part of SOSF alumni to be getting for continuous information, access to life skill tools and other rich professional and personal development content. So this is for all those that graduate from the basic Lead4Change. Well, for all those that graduate from the advanced Lead4Change, all successful participants that graduate from the advanced Lead4Change will get the following prizes. We have letters of commendation. We have recommendation letter to any institution of choice. We have certificates of completion. We have badge of honor on their social media accounts. We have a free CV and cover letter reviewed by our external expert reviewer, Stanley, who goes by the name Stanley Chileke. You also have a 1-hour career business mentorship session with the board chair of Skills Outside School Foundation, Halima Ibrahim Abba. All those that also graduates would join the Lead4Change Innovators alumni, where you get rich content, information, less skill tools, and the rest. Now, it doesn't just end here. Now, all those that graduates from the advanced Lead4Change will now be given the opportunity to pitch their business plan. So let me take us back a bit. all those that are in the advanced Lead4Change, you'll be required to come up with a final business plan. Now, that final business plan must be ready upon graduation. It's even one of the criteria. You need to have completed it, and we need to see the workings for you to even be qualified to graduate from the advanced Lead4Change. Now, all those that okay, sorry, let me just go back. Yeah, that graduate from the advanced Lead4Change will be given the opportunities to pitch their business ideas. Is that not wonderful? Wow. And 3 winners will be picked. The first winner goes home with $1,000. The second winner goes up with $500, while the third winner goes home with $300. Wow, to execute their project. If this is not amazing, I don't know what is. This cannot just give a reaction on the group or on our chats. And thank you very much. Okay, so I'll be going to code of conduct. There are different code of conduct we need to adhere to in the smooth running of this program. So I'll just making a projection on that. So I'll be sharing my screen so that we all can. Okay. It's just a minute. Okay. Yes. So there are this series of code of conduct that must be ensured that we all must adhere to so that there will be smooth running of this Lead4Change program. The first one is that all communication, with others must be polite, courteous, and respectful. Please, when we are communicating with one another, please let us all show a form of respect. Let us be courteous. Let us be respectful in our communication, please. Also, there should be no form of discrimination, no form of bullying. When people bring their ideas or their thoughts, please, there's no question that is not valid, please. So don't let us maybe mock anybody based on whatever. So no form of discrimination, no form of bullying. Participants are not to use profane, threatening, or disrespectful languages or images in any communication with others. These actions are highly prohibited. We will not allow these actions. Also, there should be a commitment not to abuse, harass, or discriminate against any facilitator. Please, that will not be allowed. There should be a commitment to actively participate. Like I was saying before, participation is very, very key, very, very key in this program to be qualified for any of the, I've spelled out all the prizes to be won, I've spelled out all the stages. Participation is very important. Engagement is very important. Interaction, not just coming to the class and attending. You have to participate in group tasks. You have to give your opinions as well. It is very important, please. Also, participants are encouraged to partake in peer-to-peer learning. You can learn from your fellow change makers or change makers. So you can learn from your fellow change makers. Please, highly, highly encouraged. Participants are also encouraged to share their ideas and speak up. Please speak up. Don't feel like, oh, I want to say something. People might not buy it. Please speak up. If you need to be corrected, someone will correct you. Please speak up and share your ideas. Please, we highly encourage that. Participants should be open-minded and willing to learn. Please, anytime we come for all these classes, all these modules, please be open-minded, be willing to learn, because there are a lot of things to be learned, a whole lot to be learned, I assure you. Participants should be time conscious. Thanks for all those that joined early and those that are here. Please, we need to be very time conscious, even like in the submission of our assessment, in coming to meetings on time, we need to be very time conscious. When the training is ongoing, participants are to keep their videos on. I'm going to emphasize on this, please, as this session is going, please let's all turn on our videos now. Please let's all turn on our videos now. Let's even ensure that now. Let's enforce it now. Please let's all turn on our videos now, please. Please let's all turn on. I'm saying, okay, people are turning on. Please let's all turn on our videos. Please, I'm waiting for us to turn on our videos, please. Because this will aid interaction, this will aid participation. We can see, we can put names to faces and all of that, you know, so that we can know each other. Please let's all turn on our videos. Please let's all turn on our videos. As time is going on, I'll be reminding us to turn on our videos because it is very important. We want to know each other. Please, let's all turn on our videos. It is important we turn on our videos, but we should mute our microphones when we are not speaking so that it will not interfere with the interactions of the class. Participants are free to use information from the discussion of this training, but please, we are not allowed to review who said what particular statement. I can still see some of our videos on. Please, let's all turn on our videos, please. Thank you very much. Okay. Attendance is a crucial component of this online learning process. I've emphasized on this attendance, participation, attendance. You have to attend each module. You have to actively participate. It's not just about attending, like I've said before, but we are all in group chats, like which was formed a while back. There are going to be group chats to be done, and I specifically spelled on that group chat that it is for our group tasks. So please, when facilitators give us group tasks to engage in, please let's all contribute, let's all participate. You know, it won't be nice for just one person bringing up on there. So let's all join efforts together and bring about like good tasks so that we can present. Participants should work as a team when required in a respectful manner, sharing thoughts and experiences. So even while we are engaging as a group, please, we have to do it in a very respectful manner. Please, nobody's idea is nonsense idea. Please, even if we're not going to go with the idea in a respectful manner, we can all come to a conclusion that, okay, let's take this idea instead of this one or whatnot. But please, let's all be very respectful in our interactions. Participants must turn in their pre-application forms and post-evaluation forms in time, submit their assessment and the completion of each module on or before the deadline. So I'm going to emphasize on this too. I've sent pre-application and post, okay, not here, but I sent a pre-application pre-evaluation form yesterday, and some of us haven't filled it. So I'm going to just say it here that please, if we have not filled this, please let's ensure to fill it. Thank you very much. And there will be assessment that will be given here and there. So please, there will be deadlines that will be communicated. Let all please ensure, let's be conscious of all this I'm saying. Let's be conscious of this participation. Let's be conscious of the attendance. Let's be conscious of turning in our assessment. Let's be conscious of filling of forms because they are very, very important. If you have any questions on anything else, you can just put it in the chat box and I will respond to you. It's all the explanation on the Lead4Change with all the stages, with all the prizes, with the code of conduct. If you have any, if you need any clarification whatsoever, you can just put it on the chat box and I will respond to you, or you can get to me privately. Anyone that suits you, I will respond to you promptly. So thank you very much for listening. So right now I'll be leaving the floor and we'll have the board chair of Skills Outside School Foundation, Alima Ibrahim, about to give a new remark. Please, can we all react? Can we all react on the chat box? Thank you very much, even as she comes up.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Shola. I think you've been able to really go through everything in depth. So I'm going to try to keep this very short as much as I can. Thank you, everybody, for the time. Thank you for making, making the sacrifice to be here. Thank you for all your wonderful initiatives and your ideas. As Shola has already said, as an organization, we've always been leading our own projects, that we come up with programs, initiatives like this Lead4Change, and, seeing that through, gathering the data, understanding the context, finding partners and other stakeholders to work with, and then also implementing a lot of those projects and programs that we come up with, and then, of course, monitoring and evaluating to see impact. But of recent, we've come to also see that there's a lot of wealth of ideas that people have all over the continent, and we don't have all the answers. We cannot solve all the problems and the challenges we have on the continent. So we have to bring a new generation of change makers coming together to really, tackle some of our greatest challenges, so that we see ourselves as change makers who are adding value to everything that we have in society, and seeing the change that we want in our country. So this is really what Lead4Change, and it's a very exciting opportunity. I've been, going through the mission people have had. So from I think Lillian's Almajiri Reformation Project, which I actually have a lot of comments for you on that one, because there's actually somebody doing something very similar to that in northern Nigeria, to looking at helping young girls access sanitary pads, to I think Bello's very interesting basic life support curriculum being mainstreamed in secondary schools. I mean, the ideas are just so fantastic, and I'm already very excited to get to know all of you and see how we can continue to scale the work that you started, the great work you've started. Some people are still at idea stage. Some people have reached an inflection where they want to do more. And, you know, they see this as a support. And I really hope that we meet your expectations as well. This is a platform for all of you to share your ideas, challenges that you've had, you've been having, how we can support you better, helping to bring new networks for you as well, new partners. You know, it's not just about the learning and the funding or whatever at the end of the day, but it's even coming up in new insights, sharing our thoughts and ideas, and recognizing that just because you're implementing something in Nairobi versus in Addis Ababa, you know, some of the challenges are actually very similar, and there's a lot we can learn from each other. And I see this platform as not just you hearing from us and the wonderful facilitators we have like Fatima, who's with you today. We're very excited about that. But I think also that you learn from one another as much as possible. And you see yourselves as a network, you know, of people who can add value. And you never know where the collaborations can come from. I started social change work when I was 8 years old, so very young. And it was something that I didn't even think I was doing. I was just doing stuff around. And then as I grew older, I became more deliberate about the work I was doing. And, you know, for me, social change work is for everyone. Every single person should do it. I'm an investment banker by day. You know, I build infrastructure projects all across the continent, billion-dollar infrastructure projects, like the Dangote refinery, which some of you may have heard of, which is going to be the largest refinery in Africa once it comes on stream, or roads, or Henny Konambeli Bridge in Cote d'Ivoire, or, you know, funding Kenya Power Lighting Company, for instance, for the Kenyans amongst us. So these are things I do on my day job, which have a significant developmental impact. But at the same time, running the foundation has helped me also explore a different side around human capital development, really making sure that we build a continent that is resilient. We build Africans that can change what we see and change the narrative, help us. I think somebody made a submission and said, what is our narrative on the continent? I think the person was from Ethiopia. I've forgotten his name, but he's one of the participants amongst us. And it really struck me. I sit across the table negotiating deals with people all across the world. And I ask myself, why doesn't Africa have this capacity? I studied in the UK, probably some of the, you know, finest, smartest people I've ever met. But when I look at the Africans that I studied alongside, I mean, we have the capacity. We can even do much more. But the society kind of doesn't, the environment doesn't encourage us. And so I really want to appreciate all of you for taking that leap of faith to do what you're doing, because it's significant. And living a purposeful life and knowing that you leave a legacy, if today you're not in this world, is something that is a gift nobody can ever take from you. So I just want to encourage you. It's not easy work. It's tough. There've been moments when I've been depressed, when we couldn't even pay salaries as an organization, where I had to use my pocket money, which wasn't very much, as a, you know, or my allowance as a core member, to really just get things across the table. You write grants, you write proposals, you request for things, nobody will answer you. You sit in front of a government official who will just completely disregard what you're doing. All of these things will happen, but they're only going to make you stronger. They're only going to give you more conviction that, yes, this is something that I really want to do. And when you do it, it's very, very exciting. And for some of you who've already been implementing and the impact you see on your beneficiaries, it's, you know more than me. There's nothing that can ever replace that feeling. So I just want to congratulate you, urge you, encourage you. And as Shola said, please see this as an opportunity to learn, share with each other, challenge, question, inspire yourselves, you know, grow your network, and really see this as a step to continue the great work that you're doing. I hope that this is as fulfilling for you as it is for us, and that this is a success all through the way. I'm sure we'll meet again, hopefully I think your batch will be on Tuesday for me. So I'm very excited to speak more about your various initiatives and projects and businesses and seeing how we can take it to the next level. So thank you for the time. I'm sorry, Shola, I broke my own rule and I ended up talking for so long, but it's always hard not to keep going on and on this subject. So I just want to encourage all of you and say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and the honor to also get to know you all and be able to work with you. And I hope that this is a success for you as it is for all of us. And we would like to, of course, share your stories along the way to amplify the great work that you're doing as well. And I should also add, I didn't say this yesterday, but maybe you can translate this information, Shola, to them. But beyond the prizes, personally, I also invest in a lot of businesses myself, just personally. And I would be excited to see which ones would pique my interest at the end of the day to do my own personal investment separate from the prize. I really just want to support you as I have also been supported along the way. So just thank you so much, Shola, and thank you everybody for the time and good luck. And I hope you have a wonderful session today with Fatima. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma, for that wonderful opening remark. I'm sure we're all excited. Who is going to win the prize? Okay, so thank you very much, Ma. That was very awesome. Please, can we mute ourselves if we're not speaking? Please, let's mute ourselves. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, please, I can see some of us have put on our videos. Thank you very much. Please, can we all put on our videos? Please, please, please. I'll be bringing this up during the proceedings of this training. Let us all endeavor to please put on our video. Let's get to know each other, put a face to the name. You know, thank you very much. So now we'll be introducing ourselves. We'll all be introducing ourselves. So I would like us to just go to the chat box. Let us identify our name. Let's say our names, where we are from, what we do, and any other information you would like us to know. Please let's put it on the chat box. I'll start with myself since I'm the moderator. Let me speak. So my name is Shalapi Nathaniel. I'm from Nigeria, and I'm the Initiatives and Challenges Assistant at Skills Outside School Foundation. I'm very glad that you all are here, and I would like to meet you all. So please let's introduce ourselves in the chat box. I'll be giving a 5 minutes for that so that we all don't miss from the other activities that will be going on. So please, I'll give a 5 minutes for that. Please let's all introduce ourselves in the chat box. Let's introduce ourselves in the chat box. Okay, I'm sure most of us would have done that. So, okay, we can be doing that while we'll move on. I'll just give me another minute for that. So we move on. Okay, so we can still be doing that. We can still introduce ourselves as much as we want to. Thank you very much. Very nice meeting all of you once again. Now, today we'll be having our first session, building an entrepreneurship mindset. Wow, wow. Okay, so not to waste much of our time, I'll be introducing our facilitator, Fatima Aliu. Fatima Aliu is a technology, media, and education specialist. Hello. Okay. Okay, so Fatima Aliu is a technology, media, and education specialist. Before joining as a full-time team member at Tungsten Entrepreneurship Media, Fatima has been a trainer, curriculum integration specialist, and resource developer for Tungsten Entrepreneurship Institute. In her role, Fatima trained over 100 Ministry of Education nominated teachers in Gombe and students in the Faculty of Education at the Gombe State University in July 2021. Fatima was responsible for developing the entrepreneurial arts and physics curriculum and books at JS1. Fatima's most recent role was that of a science teacher at Premier International from January 2021 to February 2022. She is a professionally trained teacher with a focus on science subjects such as physics, such as basic sciences, physics, and agricultural science, who has worked with numerous schools, including Premier International School, Living Treasure Academy, and Granny Murray Schools. She is a cartoonist or animator who has worked for companies such as Nurture Trees, a digital marketer who has worked for Young Stars Foundation, a published author, and the CEO of Castle Media Group. As an experienced classroom teacher, she possesses skills in classroom management and student operations. Outside the classroom, she's experienced in media instruction, digital marketing, 3D animation, branding, illustration, and content creation for media advertisements. Fatima Aliu holds a bachelor's degree in education biology from the University of Benin, Nigeria. She holds a certificate of attendance with Young Capacity Building School and Google Digital Marketing Skills for Africa. She is currently enrolled in a master's in information management of Hamadu Bello University, Zaria. Wow, please can we just give a reaction in the chat box? Please let's all be open-minded to learn, because I'm sure today is going to be a very impactful session. So please let's all be open-minded, like we said, to learn. Let's even give reactions in the chat box, even as we invite Fatima Aliu to take the stage. You're welcome, Ma.
Thank you so much, Shola, for that. Yeah, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everybody. Yeah, this is this is very amazing to see that entrepreneurs, such as everyone here, like we're taking that big step. I think for a long time, African entrepreneurs were given the back seat, and I know that funding is something that is, very crucial in, taking our businesses, our ideas to the next step. And I know that this is something that we're working very hard to get. And I hope that whatever I have to share here today would be something that would, open our eyes, and we can see that, making that big change that we want in our society is not far-fetched from the profits or the gains
Progress.
For ourselves as individuals. So thank you so much, Fatima Aliu. So I think I should share my screen at this point. Yeah, we can mute ourselves when we're not speaking. So just so that everyone can hear, what we're doing. So just give me a second while I share my screen. Okay, you should see my screen any minute. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Oh, thank you so much. So there is so many aspects to what you require for your social change project. Just like the founder, Ms. Halima spoke very earlier, she mentioned a lot of game-changing ideas that a lot of us had. In fact, when I went through some of them, I'm like, wow, this is amazing if we can get this off the ground. So what I want to, what I'm striving for is to share what my insights are about, the mindset. Like I said in the session I had yesterday, whatever you are starting, whether it's a business, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a partnership, a project, whether long-term or short-term, the mindset that you have would make or break you, whether you like it or not. And it's important that we just kind of dig deep into this subject. And I think that this is a good predecessor to the greater things that would come to you, hopefully, as you impact on this very arduous journey as an entrepreneur, but hopefully it would be a journey that would be rewarding as well. So that's why we're beginning with building an entrepreneurship mindset. So yeah, so Shola has already done justice by introducing, with the introduction that she did. So thank you so much, Shola. But here are my contact details in case we do want to network. Networking is the most powerful tool that you can use. Knowing people, sharing ideas, those insights. Is very important. So currently I'm the assistant manager for Tungsten Media, which is a subsidiary of Tungsten Entrepreneurship Holdings. You can reach me via LinkedIn, just my phone number, and that is my email. All right. Yeah, thank you so much. I see someone, Ruth, in the chat. Yes, thank you. And I love the engagement as well, because yeah, before I moved into the media space properly, I was a teacher. I still think I'm a teacher, at heart at least. But I've always found that the most rewarding class that you can ever be in, and I'm saying rewarding for both the teacher and the learner, is always a class where there is a two-way interaction. Because I always say teachers are the best learners. My goal here is not just to share my insight, but also to learn from you. I learned a lot from the session that I had yesterday, and I'm really looking forward to learning from you as well. So yeah, let's get into what we're going to do. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of some of the things that we're going to be doing in this module, which is building entrepreneurship mindset. So let's break down the learning outcomes. The first place I want us to start with, I'm sorry about the noise behind. The first place I want us to start with is understanding what a social change project is. Okay, now, because I know that a lot of us have already begun our social change project, so we know what we want to do for the communities we find ourselves, but I still feel like, we can still break down this topic. And then from there, we'll proceed to examine the importance and the reason for bringing about social change. Okay, social change is important, and we'll talk more about that. But if I should just say this before we get into that, the African society, and I'm not one of those people that lumps the whole of African or the whole African countries into, that one Africa that everybody talks about, as if Africa is just a state somewhere. But you will find that a lot of the problems that we have are also prominent issues that you'll find in different societies, that you'll be very surprised that something that's happening somewhere in Kenya is related to something that's happening in Ethiopia and in Nigeria. So it's very important that we understand social change and the kind of impact that we can create in our society. So that's what we're going to be doing with that. And then we'll identify social change projects, and hopefully we'll reinforce our desire to create social change in the environment that we find ourselves. From there, we'll now understand social enterprise, because early in my entrepreneurial journey, I always separated social projects from, an enterprise that would make profits or make gains, however you calculate or measure that. And so I will always, group NGOs as people who are for social change, and I'll be like, okay, no, I'm not an NGO. I'm not trying to be an NGO. However, this is a very new century. There's a new tide with how business operates and move in this space, and people are understanding that it's not just about making profit, but it's also about, your business has more value when you are useful to the wider society beyond the product that you are making. And that's where, social enterprises come in. And then, of course, we'll distinguish what social projects and social enterprises are. We'll distinguish them, beyond the time frame aspect. There are other aspects that I think we'll also delve into. Then we'll determine the skills and knowledge and attitude required for social entrepreneurs and change makers such as you guys. And then, of course, we'll look at real life problems and change them into social change projects. And of course, we'll provide solutions to these problems that we've identified. So the content, of course, we're going to unravel the content as we go along. So I'm not going to dwell on that. But this is what we're going to be looking at in this module. And like I said, I hope to learn from you as much as you're going to learn from me. So let me just move forward. So I do have an icebreaker, and it's called Think and Share. So I'm going to be part of your WhatsApp groups. I've heard that we're already in groups. We did this in the during the last yesterday session, and it was really interesting. The idea is very simple. Okay, you have 5 minutes to come up with your business idea, so you can be on your phones like I am, working on your ideas via your WhatsApp group. And so once you're done with your idea, I'm going to pick someone at random from the groups to pitch the idea for us, and then the people in the team will score the volunteer based on a scale of 10. So I want to see when we're done, we're going to give you a score based on how well you pitch the idea. Now, what I'm really looking at is teamwork. Okay, so at this point we're not critiquing business ideas. We're not really critiquing your pitch per se, but we're really, the core of what we're after is teamwork. Because if you're ever going to grow a social project or an enterprise, believe it or not, you're not going to do it yourself. You will need an able-bodied team behind you. So, oops, sorry, I didn't know my video wasn't on. Okay, so yeah, it's on now. So we have 5 minutes for us to come up with our business idea, and then I'm going to pick the best idea to present. I'm going to pick someone from the group at random, to present the idea. So I have been added to group 2C, group 2B, and group 2A. So please, let's be on WhatsApp collaborating. And hopefully the networks that we form at this stage would be something that would keep working on. And hopefully our ideas don't just die. Our ideas live beyond this phase of collaboration. So I'm in the WhatsApp group. So let's give it 5 minutes, and let's see what wonderful ideas that we come up with. Okay, remember we have just 5 minutes for this so that we don't dwell. Yeah, so far the groups are silent.
We just go to our individual groups and start the icebreaker. So I'll just reshare the question on there just in case that's what is keeping us.
Okay, something else that will help, especially when you are on networking platforms, is to properly name yourself. Because when you go to WhatsApp group, you can't really identify people. So we can just take this very important step, if you ask me, to rename ourselves, something that someone can recognize you. So if you haven't named yourself properly, please do that so that I can identify you on the group. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Solapa. I can see that you have the questions on the group.
Yeah, I think they've started typing, so I think I see
Right.
more people typing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see some people typing actually. Yeah, so far group B is the only quiet group. Okay, someone is typing.
I think someone is typing in group 2B.
Yeah.
Okay, they're all typos.
No, Gentle Mike in group 2A. You don't need to divide you don't need to divide yourself. You've already been divided into groups. So just work on your idea. Yeah, and Edward, pleased to meet you. You said you're a fabricator and a welder. That's really interesting. Okay, so I'm going to give 3 minutes extra, just because I know when we do this kind of activities online, it's it's a little finicky. So I'm going to give 3 minutes extra. If we were in person, it would have been easier to sort out. Oh, fantastic. Group 2C. Yeah, I can see an idea.
Yeah.
Wow, Lillian, I'm loving your idea, and I'm also loving that you know where you're coming from. So of course, I'm not going to read out the idea. Yeah, also I love group 2A. We're starting with the problem and then preferring solution. That's usually a fantastic way to start. Okay, I'm going to give another 2 minutes for us to wrap up, and then I'll start calling people to pitch their idea. Wow. Miracle Emmanuel, in group 2A, you have a very fantastic idea. Yeah, so I'm giving 2 minutes for us to wrap up. Okay, So I'm going to start calling volunteers. I'm going to start with A, then proceed to B, and then C. Okay, I'm just waiting for the extra 1 minute to wrap up, and then I would call on somebody. Mm. Mm. Okay, so group 2A, I can see that there's 2 different ideas in the group, but they are fantastic ideas nonetheless. Okay, so if you have more than one idea in your group, you can pitch, you can pitch any of them. Like I said, it's about teamwork. All right, so the 1 minute has elapsed. So I'm going to group 2A. I'm just going to pick someone. Okay, I can only see 2, 3 people active in group. Okay, so Kaka ID. Okay, so that's your name here. Yeah, can you pitch the idea for group 1A? Hello, if you can hear me. And I hope I pronounced your name properly. I'm sorry if I can correct me, of course. So Kaka ID, if you can hear me.
Of course, I can hear you.
Okay, please welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so can you pitch the ideas, like any of the ideas that that you came up with in one? Group 2A, I meant to. Sorry, I keep saying group 1, group 2A.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Yeah, this is Edward.
Can you turn
Edward,
on your video? Please, can you turn on your video so we can also see you while you are presenting? Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, I don't know if I can be seen.
Yeah, just for the picture.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
Edward from Ghana.
Oh, this
educator.
Okay.
And I'm so much in the education of people and also the youth of my community. So one problem which we are facing here is schools under trees and also of desks for students. Most of the students go to school and they sit on the floor to study, which is really bad in this 21st century of ours. So, and also what we are facing in our community is lack of employment, and these youth involve themselves in other negative social vices. So we just want to create an opportunity for them whereby they can learn skills for their own selves in the future and also help build their community in so doing. So we just want to engage them, teach them the skill of welding and fabrication, and also which will be targeted to solve the lack of decks in the community. So while they are learning the welding and fabrication, they will be fabricating decks and other metal crafts for the community, and in so doing, it will solve the issue of lack of decks and also create employment for them. We can also train others in the molding of bricks, interlocking bricks, and also teach them how to lay bricks. And so they learn masonry to solve the unemployment situation also, and we can build the community together. So in one way, we are just helping the youth to gain skills and also building the community in doing so. And I think when we sell our product to other communities or export our product to other places, we are going to get some revenue, which will help sustain the business and also help us buy the necessary materials to continue with the project. I think this is my idea. And I have pictures of some of the desks which I can post in the group. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I love that you've thought about sustainability for your business before. But if I can just ask a question, who is making the desk? Is it
Who
the
is?
students? Are you training the students in the school to make their
Yeah.
own desk?
So
Or are you training?
it's not the students, but I'm engaging people who are not really working, unemployed youth, teaching them the skills to help their community by fabricating desks and also helping them gain the skills needed for the future. So it's not the students, but if a student wishes to learn, he can do that maybe after class. And because it's a risky job, looking at the art involved and other elements involved, I think we have to pick it from some ages. Maybe only junior high students can partake in the training. Maybe after school, like an extracurricular activity to help them. So even if after junior high school, they can have a skill. If the person does not want to continue with schooling or does not have the means, he can set up his own business and do his own fabrication.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So the value you're creating is the empowerment you're giving people in your society, or that's unemployed people.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
fantastic. Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, understood. So group 2A, Edward pitch. Edward, right? I know your name is here. Edward.
Yeah, I pitched right now. 2A.
Yes, 2A. I know your name is Edward.
Yes, please.
Yes, okay.
Edward.
Yeah, your name is Eddie here, so I wanted to be sure.
Yes.
Okay. So Eddie has pitched the idea for group 2A. So what I want us to do now in group 2A, let's score him over 10. Not based on his idea, but based on the fact that he was able to represent the idea for the group appropriately as he could. Okay, so we're not scoring based on if it's going to be successful or not. So that's not what we're after. We're after teamwork. So Eddie, you can mute yourself. Yeah, you can mute yourself. Okay, so let's score him over 10. So I'll come back to look at the score. Let me move to 2B. Okay, so 2B. Rabiu in group 2B, can you pitch the idea on group 2B? Rabiu, can you hear me?
I came late, please.
Oh, okay, you came late. Oh, okay. Yeah, but you can still pitch your idea or the idea for the group.
But I don't know what they discuss about in that group. So maybe someone can take over.
All right. Okay, someone else. But in the future, I would always advise that you try to be you try to really follow up on what is being discussed in the group so that you're not just lost. Okay. But yeah, okay. But thank you so much anyway. Thank you. Fadeke, right? Please correct me if I didn't pronounce it correctly. Fadeke Adebisi.
It's Fadeke Adebisi.
Fadeke, I knew. So
Yes.
please pardon me. Yes, please can you put the idea for group 2B?
Okay. My name is Fadeke Adebisi and I'm a textile designer. Yes. So the idea is about reducing the impact of textile production byproduct in the environment while ensuring energy conservation. Yes. So because basically the processing
sorry to cut you short. Please, can you turn on your video so that we can see you while presenting, please?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Also, if you're not speaking, you can mute yourself so we can really hear Fadeke.
Can I go on, please?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Thank you. So the idea is about reducing the impact of textile production byproduct on the environment while ensuring energy conservation.
Mm-hmm.
And the processing of conventional textiles require around 100 to 150 liters of water for every kilogram of fiber.
Mm.
And it takes about 2,700 liters of water to make just one t-shirt.
Mm.
Yes. So we believe by this we'll be able to implement sustainability. And the major process is of reducing the consumption of water is by weaving, the local weaving in
Mm.
community. Yes. So we intend training people and as well engaging the services of local weavers.
Mm.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
Fadika, please, your video is not still on. We want to see your face when you are presenting. Please, thank you.
Hey,
Thank
can you
you.
see my face now?
Yes, we can. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you. Fadeke, your idea is actually it's actually one of the things that a lot of people are talking about. The fabric industry is basically at a very expensive cost. Actually, when you add the fact that people will wear things and then throw them away, there's designer houses coming up every day. So please can we mute ourselves when we're not speaking? There's so much echo. Yeah. All right, thank you so much. So it's one of the top things that a lot of people are talking about, that the fashion industry is costing so much. Today,
Yes.
there's a million fashion houses. Everybody is quick to make their own impact in the fashion industry. Add that to the fact that the fashion industry is costing us in terms of fresh water, which is becoming a scarcity. So yes, and then you're saying that weaving local, as in engaging local weavers, it's actually a means of reducing the wastefulness, if I should put it, of the earth's resources in creating these textiles. But I do have a question, and the question is, local weavers, I don't know the technology that they have, but we know that they do not have the industrial equipment to mass produce certain fashion products. Do you think you'll be able to meet the demand for what people are asking with just engaging local weavers, as you say?
Yes, to a considerable amount, I think we have been able to help with, because there are a lot of weavers. There are a lot of weavers. Some of them do not. Some of them are even out of job because of the reduction in orders from people. But we believe as we educate people more, they will be able to see the essence and not just say, "Oh, okay, this is what we are about." So that's the more reason why we want to train more people to engage in this act. When they see it's more, just like the same way everybody is a fashion designer out there, when we see more of the benefits of what this does to us, we'll be able to recreate and produce our home fabrics ourselves. Another fabric that we can produce is also the adire. Adire also helps us to reduce the effects of energy consumption at large. Yes, so these are local fabrics. The only way we can do it mostly, yes, we work, we are able to conserve time. Yes, like you're talking about the time consumption in producing most of these things. That is why we came up with the 4-shaft loom. That is, the fabrics can come in yards. At least that way we reduce time also in producing to a large extent, yes. But then it still has to go through local. When it is industrial, is when it consumes energy.
Oh, okay. When the wastefulness begins. Okay,
Yes.
yes. So she's saying that there is a technology. Okay, we just need to engage more people, and that local fabric is something that we can do. Okay, so it's a very interesting idea. Yeah, I don't know too much about fashion production. I just know a little bit.
Thank you.
So, but let's score Fadeke on her idea about on the group's idea, and should I say about engaging local fabric makers. Let's score her over 10. Did she represent the idea as meaningfully as you would or you expected? So let's score her over 10. I'm going to come back to look at the scores. And group 2A, we haven't started scoring. Remember, I said we're not scoring the idea. We're not about the pitch for now, okay? We're just scoring teamwork. How is she representing the team, basically? So that's what we're scoring. Okay, so let's look at group 2C. So group 2C, very interesting. I love that they came from the aspect they already had a problem that they wanted to solve. So I'm going to, let me just call someone at random. Blessed Lillian, if you can hear me, unmute yourself and pitch the idea for Group 2C.
Okay.
Yeah, pleased to meet you, by the way.
I was surprised you're going to call me because that idea was raised up by my team.
Yeah, I just picked someone at random anyway.
Okay, so we had a lot of deliberation, and I think we concluded on the fact that we should actually work on an innovation that would solve malnutrition in underage children below 5 years old. And one of the ways we thought of going about through that or about that is by getting plastics, protecting and conserving the environment. That's getting recyclable materials like plastics and the rest of it, then recycling it into something useful. And I think it has been mentioned by Group 2B. So recycling those plastics into something useful that is actually that we can sell to make profit, and the profit that will be made will be used in providing fortified fields for children in underserved communities, because we all know that children in rural communities actually do not have access to fortified fields, and most times, most of them, well, I'm not going to quote statistics right now, but if you're to do further research, you would see that children in rural communities, actually, some of them do not get to the age of 10 because they do not have access to good nutrition and everything required to live up to that age. And the truth is, if these children cannot live up to the age of 10 and teenage years and into adulthood, then who becomes the future generation of Africa and Nigeria? So that's why we decided to focus on this age category of children in underserved communities. And this is actually addressing, I don't remember the SDGs, but it's one of the two of the SDGs in addressing climate change and quality health.
Yeah, quality health. And if you can even add zero hunger as well. Yeah, I love the idea in the fact that with the fact that you're trying to maximize as much impact as you can. On one hand, you are taking care of the scourge that is plastic waste, and on the other hand, you are tackling nutrition and feeding, especially for the vulnerable age that you mentioned, 10. But if I should ask a question, because this is fantastic, but what materials would we know you're recycling plastics and all that, but what would be the end product that you intend to put in the market?
So like I said, the previous group had mentioned it, and it's something we are actually seeing currently in the society. So it could be clothing materials, it could be artworks, it could be bags, school bags. Yes, it could be school bags. But these will be made from the recyclable materials and will be sold, meaning that in selling it or even in the marketing, we would let people know that in doing this, they would be tackling malnutrition in underserved communities. And not just that, but these are sustainable materials or products that they are getting. So they would actually want to purchase it.
Yes, anybody who cares about the climate and cares about, giving back to the community would definitely purchase, because they know that they are doing that goodwill. So yeah, understood. Understood. So thank you so much for that pitch. So Group 2C, we can score her over 10. How well did she represent the idea? And I love that she wasn't the one who pitched it. She wasn't the one who came up with the idea, but she was able to pitch it pretty well, in my opinion. So let's score her. And this is, I really want to, thank you so much, Blessed Lillian, thank you. Because most times you would have to pitch an idea that it wasn't an idea, but you would be the face of the idea, especially when you're pitching to investors or any other stakeholder. So it's very important that you're speaking the mind of the team that you find yourself. So well done. I was really impressed. I was really impressed that even though you didn't come up with the idea, you pitched it very well. So we can score over 10 based on how well the person represented your idea for your group. Like I said, you always find yourself in a team. I found myself in a lot of teams actually, and a lot of the projects died, not because the idea wasn't fantastic or we didn't have a real problem to solve. That wasn't the problem, but the problem was the team effort and the team spirit. Okay, when people have this mindset that, okay, you know what, no, it's just about my idea, it's just about me, it's a problem. How do you cause social change, or how do you bring about social change when you are not thinking the group, thinking with the mind of a group, So that's where this activity that's the place this activity is coming from. And I'd like to thank everybody who pitched and everybody who came up with ideas on the group. Fantastic. And I hope that we go on to have successful teams that will tackle big problems in our society. So well done, everybody. Okay, so I can see people scoring in the group chat. Hold on, let me just quickly spy on the group chat and actually, yeah, so people scored Lillian 8. Somebody scored Lillian 8.5 over 10. Yeah, in my opinion, she did very well. So yeah, let's keep scoring. Let's keep scoring these people. And please, thank you everyone who pitched. It means a lot.
I can see Edward's hand is up.
Okay, yeah, Edward.
Like to say something?
Yeah, Edward.
I think Lillian's idea is quite great, and I just wanted to add up. Maybe I don't know where they want to take it. I just wanted to add up to it. Like maybe let's say with the collection of the plastic, if they recycle it to create something like teaching learning materials for students and book teachers, which maybe can sell and also help in the education of the students. Maybe something like counters, helping the kids in early childhood, and also any other thing which will make teaching and learning easier for students. I think it's also going to be a great idea, not only in the form of arts or something else. Yeah. That's what
Yes, thank you. And I 100% agree, Mr. Edward. Because if you're already you're looking at the market of that vulnerable age of 10, she said, you might as well make products that are useful to them. Although I know she mentioned school bags, so which means she has an idea set on more things that have a lot more value beyond the aesthetics, like artworks. So yeah, thank you so much, Edward. Thank you everyone who pitched. So yeah, I think we can move on from the icebreaker. Please, let's keep networking. That's what the icebreaker is for. Yeah, I'm seeing people scoring. So far, I'm so happy. I haven't seen anything less than 5. So which means we're really working as a unified whole. So that is good. All right. So let's move on to talk about exactly what social change is. And I think when we're talking about it, you understand why it's very important to not think about yourself as a person, but think about yourself within the context of a group or a community or a society or even an institution, as the case may be, right? So I wrote simply that social change refers to the transformation of culture, behavior, social institution, and social structure over time. Like I said, it's always the person within this context, because if you live in a society, you are bound by social norms, right, that are particular to the society. For example, if you live in the UAE versus you live in Africa versus you live in the Americas, right? The culture that you are bound by the culture you find yourself. You're also, because you're bound by the culture, it means that you are bound by certain behaviors and norms that are pertinent in that culture, as well as the institutions, whether they are religious or ethical institutions, and then social structures. However, where social change comes in is how we refine this culture, this behavior, this institution over a course of time to achieve a desired result. Of course, everyone knows about slave trade, where people with our complexion or with my complexion, right? They were traded in the Americas and the Caribbean as slaves. That was a social culture, should you see, and it was a very powerful, not just a powerful social institution, but it was also a powerful profit-making engine for people who owned plantations at that time. But what happened is, as the ethical code and the social codes began to change, slavery was abolished, right? So which means people who dealt in that business, of course, would have lost profit, and people who were agonized by the whole conflict of slavery, had their freedom and were able to live lives in the source that they found themselves. So we can see how powerful social change is. It is something that would affect all ramifications, all aspects of the society at a given time, right? But I will always refer to social change as an evolution, right? And I say it's where society makes amendments to traditional societal norms, leading to a necessary change. Usually, people who herald social change are looking at a problem that affects more than one person. That's why we started with the activity that we began with. It's very important that if you want to be a social entrepreneur, as that's the new term for people in this space who are, heralding social changes, and at the same time, they are, trying to make investments in the same space. We call them social entrepreneurs. But it is very important that you understand that you are within a context of a bigger society or institution. I gave another example during a session yesterday where I said it's not a coincidence that Tesla is very successful in this day and age. Why? Because now the conversation is around sustainable energy. Versus if you had a time machine to go back to the 2000s or in the 90s, where these conversations were there, people always knew about climate change and the way that we are going about energy consumption, and the fact that it is not only not healthy to our environment, but it's also we're going to find ourselves in a future where we are depleted of these resources. People already knew that as far back as then, but the conversation became bigger as we started entering the 2010s, right up to 2022, where you find ourselves. People are more in tune and they were not talking about this. And so, little wonder we find a huge mega corporation called Tesla that is talking about, sustainable energy or conserving the planet. Social change is very important. And, the more we look at it beyond the small community we find ourselves, I think it's also a tool where we would, hopefully put Africa, in the place that it deserves to be among the, the world powers, the world, should I say world powers that are out there. So in summary, social change is a transformation of culture. It doesn't relate to a person. Now we can start with a person. Nobody's saying it doesn't start with the person, but it should be something that has enough impact or that can affect a wider aspect of the society. Okay, so social change in a nutshell. What causes social change? Remember, I said it can start with the person. Nobody is saying it has to start with a group of people. It's the impact that makes it a social change. Well, there are many factors that can, bring about social change. One of it will be people's intellectual and motor skills. So the more you become aware, okay, of should I say a problem or a challenge, okay, as you see it in the society, whether it's in the terms of intellectual capacity or your motor skills, okay, you begin to now think about how you can make this change. For example, we saw Mr. Edward talking about, hey, I'm going to impact my society by teaching students how to make this, because he had the skill and he has the intellectual capacity to do that, right? If it were beyond your intellectual capacity, we would not be here, okay? For example, you would, I'm going to use something that was very prominent in Nigeria. Let's say something is when there was before there was Christianity, where people would engage in ritual acts like killing of twins or, the typical traditional acts. What happened with that change was people started going to school, right? People started getting exposure to Western education. And that changed the way people looked at themselves and looked at the society around them. So again, people's intellectual and motor skills will be one of the things that will push them in a certain direction to carry out a social change in their environment. The next is the technological and philosophical skill. I said it yesterday. A lot of people would ask, why is technology and philosophy in the same sentence? Well, just because let's not forget that science was born out of philosophy. The early Greek philosophers, the Aristotle, the Socrates, these people were the ones who, kind of birthed science, and we know that technology is applied science, right? So the philosophical skills and the technological, should I say, advantage or resources that a community or even a person has can bring about social change. Okay, you are in your room. Okay, I'm in my house, and Sholakba is in her house, of course, but we're here having this webinar. Why? Because there is a technological skill. I still remember in the pandemic, that was 2020, of course, when Zoom became the in thing and people started having, in fact, the lingo Zoom meeting is now something that you would say to someone, oh, I'm having a Zoom meeting, as trying to tell the person that I am in a meeting that is not in person. But Zoom has been around since 2010, 2012. Why is it a big topic now? Because people saw the change when they were locked up in their house and they couldn't go out to, to mingle, should I put it like that? So, and then people started turning to this kind of technology. And then this in turn led to the change that people can now say, hey, are you attending my webinar? Hey, are you attending my, hey, we can, you don't need to be in the office. You can be where you are. We can just work, right? So technological and philosophical skills can lead to social change. Of course, I don't need to really emphasize religion, beliefs, ethical and moral values. We've all seen how these can make a change in the society. The biggest institutions, especially when you look at African societies, would be the religious bodies, the churches, the mosques, okay? These have a lot of power. Why? Because the values that they have are shared by a wide range or a very big and powerful audience, so that churches can, churches and mosques, they can go about creating this change easily because they have the numbers on their side, so to speak, right? So religious beliefs, okay, your ethical and your moral values, right? You would even see institutions now, they will tell you the culture that they have in that organization. Why are they telling you the culture? Because they know that certain moral values and ethical values is enough to bring about social change within and outside their organization. So you see an organization will tell you, hey, in this organization, we are, we support a diverse culture. We make it our prerogative to hire African Americans, Africans, maybe as many races as you can fit into that box, right? They are telling you what their ethical values are, or an organization that will tell you, hey, we always invest 10% of our as a corporate social responsibility in healthcare, for example, right? So moral, ethical values, as well as religious values are enough to bring social change. Of course, need I mention social organizations? Okay, sorry, I was just reading the chat. Okay, social organizations, of course. Whether it's your alumni in your school, your institution, where you graduated from, or any other social, if you are in Nigeria, we do have our, little age groups that people, when I go to the village, okay, I'm always really excited to be part of that, right? These social organizations have the power to create social change, okay? Right, okay, so in addition to all those, the physical environment can also provide conditions for inducing social change. Now, notice I did not add physical environment to my bullet point, but I thought it was very important to mention. Catastrophic physical changes, whether they are man-made or natural, okay, like a natural disaster, a hurricane, an earthquake, or like what we're seeing with Russia and Ukraine, a war that will lead to mass migration, of course. These things can lead to social change to the extent that we see corporate institutions like is it the Swiss bank saying, no, we're no longer banking with Russia, or even the designer Chanel saying, no, we're no longer, we're not selling products to Russia. If you are pro-Russia, you're not with us. And they're even making it very important that they put it as a message for everybody to see that we're not with Russia for what they've done, right? Physical environments would always, be that catalyst for bringing about social change. If you find yourself in a society where, like somebody that pitched this idea in yesterday's session, where he said that there is a lot of problem with accessing drinkable and clean water in their environment. Of course, you see that his effort was about solving that problem, because that is a problem that is prominent in society, right? So the physical environment, along with all these other causes that I have mentioned, can bring about social change in an environment. So let's talk about the nature of social change. If you are serious about making social changes in your environment, you have to really understand the nature of this, of what you're dipping your hands in. Understand what the nature of social change is. The first is that social change is a universal phenomenon, okay? I guarantee you, there is no society that you walk into that they will not tell you a story of what is happening that is changing their environment. Of course, we always use Africa as an example because we are in different African countries here, but there is no country you go to that they will not talk about some kind of social change that is spilling over to every other aspect, whether it's commerce, whether it's any kind of industry, whether it's production, whether it's distribution. The social change is spilling into other aspects of their environment or their society. Social change is universal, okay? And you have to understand that social change is community change, okay? When one person changes, you can't call that social change, okay? But when we talk about a change in life patterns or a change with several individuals, then we can confidently say, yes, social change is happening within the community, okay? And of course, it's not uniform. Like I said, when people ask questions like, why is African countries, okay? And of course, not all, but especially when you talk about sub-Saharan African countries, why are they not on the level of an India or even a China? Because we kind of started with the same place. We had the same problem with colonialism, and how come they seem to be ahead? Okay, I will not say the same. Actually, they are ahead, okay, of us. Well, that's because you cannot expect social change to be uniform, but we hope that the right change will come at the time that we need it. Okay, before the situation gets too dire. I hope. Right? But anyway, social change is not uniform, okay? It occurs in all societies, but it's not in a uniform way, okay? And social change is a very important catalyst. I've always said that, okay? It's a chain reaction. In the fact that it's just social change here is usually the fastest way to spill over to other kinds of changes in other aspects of the society. I mentioned the change that we with technology when I mentioned the whole Zoom thing. Especially if you look at production and distribution, it has changed a lot. A lot of people are investing in apps, okay? For example, a Jumia, an Alibaba, an Uber, a Bolt, okay? If we know these companies, they are not really building a lot of infrastructure. They just have technology that is connecting one aspect of a community to another aspect. In the case of, let's say, an Alibaba, people who are producing this product anywhere they are in the world to people who need the product somewhere else in another part of the world. It's just the technology that they have, right? They're able to do this because this kind of social change has spilled into the rampant increase in the availability of technology has spilled into how people live their lives, so that it's very comfortable for you to be on your phone and you make an order. Okay, that's not that is something that everybody does. Okay, it's part of the way we live. You can say, oh, I need something, and you just order. You don't need to go to the store to make a purchase, right? Again, I said social change is something that is easy to spin into every other aspect of the society, okay? And social change, like any other change, is constant, okay? So if you are expecting anything, is you always expect everything to change. And how you adapt to that change will determine how resilient that you would be in the industry that you find yourself. So why is social change important, right? Of course, I'm talking about positive social changes. There are negative ones, okay? Hopefully everybody here is focusing on the positive social change for themselves and the community that they find themselves, right? A positive social change can result in improving human rights, okay, and betterment of the society. A lot of people who pitch their ideas, you can see that they are very in tune with people's plight, okay? They are empathetic, is that the word? They have empathy to people who are suffering certain conditions in their environment, and they know that bringing about the social change will give these people a leverage, okay, to at least make something better of themselves, or take chance of opportunities that would not otherwise be available for them, okay? So positive social change can improve human rights, okay, and even the betterment of living conditions, social conditions that people find themselves in a society, okay? It's an important tool for community empowerment. Just like the person who pitched plastic waste, okay? Plastic waste is not only a nuisance, but it's also eating away in our society. You go everywhere, you find face masks on the floor, you find plastic gibberish somewhere, and she's saying, oh, okay, what we want to do is we want to turn this nuisance into something that is powerful. Not powerful in the sense that we're making new products, we're providing jobs, and we're also creating an avenue where people can learn and pick up skills and innovations along the way. You see, when you engage in social change, it's a very important tool for community empowerment, okay? Also, it's a tool for building better relationships among people. Look at us sitting here talking about problems, and you see when you talk to people around you, they are most of the time facing the same problems that you're facing in your society, the same problem of climate issues, the same problem of energy wastage, the same problem of poverty, hunger, better living conditions for people, better jobs for people. It's the same problem everywhere, but a social tool will be a tool that we can connect for the purpose of building a better society and building better relationships, okay? It's a tool for cultural transformations. We've kind of talked about that. Culture will change because of the social change that is existing within that community. And also a better social environment can allow innovations and new ideas to thrive. We will not be sitting here talking about our innovations if we are not in a better social environment. I don't think any of us wants to go back to the 1800s to when we would, as Black people, we would not even have the right to speak on what we want to speak, much less talk about social change. We will not want to go there, okay? Because the social environment then isn't as good as what it is now, even though I know the racial discussion is, that's a different time, different place, right? Or okay, if we want to even talk about women rights and women being part of major discussions, okay, that are happening around us today, okay? We're in a better social environment, and because we're in a better social environment, women, people of all races and color can, allow these innovations and new ideas to thrive, okay? So that's why social change is important. And if you are imbibing social change in your project, it's very important that you are thinking along these lines, okay? So a social change project. All of us had a social change project. If you for some reason don't know a social change project, which I very much doubt, if you've listened to any of the pitches we've had today, you will know what a social change project is, okay? I define the social change project as an undertaking of solidarity actions aimed at improving one or more aspects of the society. And I especially loved projects that were deliberate in that, hey, we want to solve these problems affecting our society, and this is how we're going to do all this and still make a living. That is super amazing, right? But you will call something a social change project when you are improving one or more aspects of your society, okay? And usually a social project can be founded on an aim to achieve a positive social outcome, okay? Like I saw, I think that was group B or so, let me not, but one of the groups today, they listed out all the problems that they wanted to solve, okay? This is what we want to change in our society. Can we now build our innovations around this? Interesting, right? That is what we're talking about when we say a project can be founded on a social project can be founded on the project's aim to achieve a positive social outcome. So you are sure of what you want to do in the beginning. This is the problem I want to solve. Now, how do I go about it? So this is what a social change project is. Now, what I would add is that there is a lot of social change projects that we've seen, especially when people riot or when they march because they're advocating for one or more rights. This would have been projects if they were done with a lot more should I say, if they were a lot more deliberate and if they thought a lot more about the sustainability of this kind of project. One of the examples for people who live in Nigeria would be the NSAS protest that we had. There were a lot of, good ideas that, people had in mind concerning that protest. A lot of social changes that they had in mind that they wanted to bring about, but of course there was no sustainability, right? So I urge every one of us here who has a social change project to be thinking about what the sustainability of this project is, along with what we are going to change about the environment. And so that's what I was very happy to hear when people were pitching their social change project, that they were already, they've already jumped the gun and they're already thinking about, hey, once I start, this is how I'm going to keep it going. This is what I'm going to do to keep my project afloat. Interesting, okay? So that's what the social change project is. So now that we've talked about social change project, I just want to give us pointers to where we can look to solve, to bring about social change project. Like I said, if you are solving something that is an inconvenience for you, that is not a social change project. I shared a story with the last session that we had. I had a friend, he's in the media and comm space, and then he was thinking about, hey, I want to make a streaming service, much like a Netflix or an Amazon Prime. And his idea was that I can bring the comfortability of African created content to your mobile device, your phones and your laptops, and I can bring it for a cheaper fees than what cable is charging you right now. It was a good idea, right? In his mind, it's fine. But when you dig deep into the idea, he's mainly solving an inconvenience, right? It's not a problem that has as much impact as he would have thought, right? Because if you dig deep into successful streaming services, if you want to dig deep into a Disney, an Amazon Prime, or even a Netflix, you see that it goes beyond just creating content for your mobile device, okay, at a cheaper price than what you would pay if you were subscribing for cable. Okay, he didn't think deep about it, and I don't need to tell you that he ran into a lot of problems. So when you are going about your social change project, I urge you to dig deep into what people are facing. The Sustainable Development Goals is one of the ways to go about it, okay? If you are solving one or more of these problems, you will be solving a problem that, trust me, people care about, okay? So I'm going to zoom in on Nigeria because, of course, that's where I live. But like I said, a lot of these problems are transcendent, right? You will find them in most of our societies. Beyond Nigeria, you find them in other societies. Poverty, corruption, unemployment, high dependency on government, poor standard of living, poor education, standard of education, cyber crimes, environmental pollution, even lack of technology in certain spaces, overpopulation. These are problems that are prevalent in more than one societies. In the company that I work for, Tungsten Holdings, we wanted to launch free initiatives in entrepreneurial education for teachers in the northeast part of Nigeria, of course, where we stay. And we wanted to deploy the program virtually because that would have saved a lot of costs when you look at the logistics of moving our team from where we were over to where the teachers were in the northeast catchment, where they were in Nigeria. But it wasn't possible because people didn't even have access to power, much less access to a device to be able to take part in whatever training that we wanted to do. So you see, there are a lot of problems that are plaguing our society. And there's something that we're going to talk about as we go on, which is the root cause analysis, where you make sure that you're solving a problem that is the cause of another problem. Okay, you are solving the underlying problem. You're not going over to solve a problem that is existing upon another problem. Like the example I gave with my friend with his streaming platform. It's an amazing idea if you think about it, because he's going to prioritize indigenous content makers. So if you are a filmmaker anywhere in Africa, your content will be given priority beyond other content from elsewhere, right? If you are someone who enjoys local content, it should be something for you. So there were so many layers of there's going to be employment, there's going to be he can go ahead and cover his corporate social responsibilities that he had in mind. There were so many good things that could come out of it, but there was a root problem that needed solving. The power. Do people even have access to these devices? And if people have access to these devices, do they want to spend so much on internet to be able to access your product? These were questions that he did not really have answers to. And so the problem he was trying to solve was dependent on another problem, which unfortunately was not in his capacity to solve, right? So it's very important that when you are distilling social problems that are prevalent in your society, that you are really looking at, what is the underlying cause? Am I solving a problem that is dependent on another problem? Because if you're doing that, it's like building a castle on thin air. You are definitely going to run into problems at some point in your journey of creating your social project, right? So again, the moral here is distill the problem in your society, take a lens, really look at the problem. If there's an underlying problem, try and solve that problem first, in my opinion, or maybe move on to something that is actually within your capacity to solve.
Sorry, please, could you just quickly check your chats? Thank you. You can
go. Okay, so the chat, all right. Thank you. Let me look at the chat. Is it a chat on Zoom?
No, sorry, your WhatsApp.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. So, guys, just give me a minute. Let me look at the WhatsApp. Okay, so before we go into social enterprise, sorry about that, because I want to make a distinction between social projects and social enterprise. I do want to play a video, okay, just to prime our minds about what we're talking about when we talk about social projects. Shalakwe, please, if you can, please help me. I think I should stop sharing that. Yeah, this junction. Yeah, with sharing the video.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
We can't hear. I'll continue playing. I just want to be sure we heard.
Okay, just play it again. Yes, I heard something. Yes, yeah, and people in the chat are confirming that they can hear it.
Okay, that's something.
Yeah.
The framework with the working, it's not working. Poverty, unemployment, food crisis, oil crisis, everything we need to terms of civilization. We both have that. It's not money obsession. It's about human beings.
I'm Luna Khan, founder and I'm Kyle Zimmer, and I'm president and CEO of an organization called SOSFLead.
I'm Jamie McAuliffe. I'm the president and CEO of education. We expand that into business that we make money. Another business would be.
First Book is an international organization that provides a steady stream of books and educational resources to programs and classrooms that serve children in need.
Friendship is an organization which works in the most remote area of Bangladesh. We work in healthcare, education, relief, reconstruction, rehabilitation, sustainable income generation, and cultural preservation.
Vision Spring is an organization that provides access to affordable vision services and eyeglasses to people throughout the world. Education for everyone is dedicated to providing jobs for youth in the Middle East and North Africa, part of the world that has the highest rates of youth unemployment and a very large youth demographic.
We work in Myanmar, and we basically design, create, and market products for rural families that will boost their income.
We do this all across Myanmar, but 80% of the country.
And think of social enterprise as something which is an NGO situation, so you don't have to be professional, but you need professionals. Then it becomes a social enterprise which can grow.
Having access to the World Economic Forum for any social entrepreneur gives us a greater chance to scale our impact.
We're able to connect with people from all over the world who are focused on the same issues.
It's all about reaching more people. In the world.
Pollinate Energy has been operating for a little over a year now, and in that time we've reached almost 500 urban farm communities right across Bangalore. We've also sold around 3,500 solar lights, and we're looking to introduce more products that can improve well-being, such as efficient concerns, water filtration and sanitation. One of the biggest challenges our organisation faced was how to improve pollinators in the microbial world. We overcame this challenge by partnering with local organisations who had access to the kind of partnerships best qualities. Having reached all the regions in Bangalore, we're going to be expanding into Chennai in the coming months and later into Hyderabad. And beyond that, we hope to be able to reach 5 new cities every 12 months. In terms of products, we're researching products that are available in the market, which is suitable and affordable in the long run. Products can help in day-to-day lives. Right now, families living in urban slums are forced to rely on fossil fuels. This creates problems such as
Hi, Fatima. If you are speaking, we can't hear you.
Hey, hello. Sorry, I was speaking. I didn't know I was muted. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, I'm sure you should be able to see me now.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. It's a shame that we couldn't really hear the video because the way streaming happens on via Zoom. So I'm going to share the video on the WhatsApp groups. So I'll do that immediately the session is done, so that we can watch it and kind of make sense of it by on our own. But the video was talking more about social enterprises. Let me share my screen and before I continue talking. So it was various social enterprises and social entrepreneurs from different parts of the world talking about what they go through with creating running their social projects and social enterprises. Just give me a minute, let me reshare the document. Sorry. Okay, you should see my screen in a minute now. Okay. Okay. So you should see my screen. Let me just quickly move to where we stopped. Yeah, there's no quicker way to do this. I tried, so yeah, okay, this is where we were. Social enterprises. Okay, so it was different social entrepreneurs around the world sharing their idea and typically what they go through with running their social enterprises. So the question would be, I think this is a good place to start. What is a social enterprise? So simply put, okay, let's look at Wikipedia's definition. It says, a social enterprise is an organization that applies commercial strategies to maximizing improvements in financial, social, and environmental well-being. So you can think of a social enterprise as like a social project, okay, with commercial value as well. So it's basically applying all the commercial strategies that you would have used if you were, running a typical corporation, a typical business, and then applying that to improving the environmental and social well-being and creating social impacts in the environment that you find yourself, okay? So simply put, according to Wikipedia, you are maximizing social impact, and you're also maximizing profit for people who own or co-own the social enterprise. Now, there's two words that I want to break. There's another word I want to break down, and that word is social entrepreneurship. Like I said, that's the key buzzword because it's now becoming a more and more hot topic, should I say, in the business and in the commerce world, right? People are talking about social entrepreneurship, okay, where individuals and startups, entrepreneurs, they develop funding, they develop resources, and in the process, they are directly addressing a social issue, okay? Someone who has such an organization, okay, or an enterprise, sorry about the noise, is called a social entrepreneur, okay? So you are exploring business opportunities, and at the same time, you're having positive impacts on your environment, right? And then also, you can also look at social enterprises as organizations that have socially bound mission statements. So we're going to talk about mission statements in a bit, but most of us should know what a mission statement is. It is one of those documentation, should I say, that you would have that you can return to 4, 10, 15 years down the line with running your corporation, and then you're asking yourself, you know what, why did I start this business? Why did I go into this field of trade, right? To kind of remind yourself, okay, why you're here. So, but social enterprises, within their mission statements, they are very, very direct in addressing social issues, okay? along with, of course, with maximizing profit and applying commercial strategies to, solving that problem that's prevalent in their society. Now, the visions of social entrepreneur, now, if we look at the infographic on the screen, they would usually focus on one of 4 areas, even though, we can have areas outside this, but I kind of feel like this is the biggest groups that we can have. In social, they would look at environmental sustainability, in economic, gender, and racial equality, in healthy living, and in community improvement. Okay, because if you had to group most of the problems that we're facing, I think you can group them in 4. For example, you can group hunger, better living and working conditions. You can group that under, community improvement, and maybe perhaps healthy living as well. Or, okay, when you look at inequality based on gender or race, or when you look at, okay, environmental issues, climate issues, pollution, all those, okay. So those are some of the hot takes that social entrepreneurs will be focused on, along with applying commercial values. And this is very important because if you look at what NGOs were, let's say 15, 20 years ago, some of us were born then, but if you look at what NGOs were focused on, solving the problem, yes, but relying heavily on grants and aids from international organizations, okay, like UNESCO, UNICEF, and so on and so forth, World Bank and all that. That was their primary source of funding or resources, okay, that then they would deploy in solving a problem, the social problem in the environment. But that is changing because a lot of people are saying that it's not sustainable. Like, how many times are you going to keep running to these organizations to ask for grants, right? Within the organization, there should be a way or a method of, sustaining the resources, whether in terms of time, in terms of capital investment, in terms of equity, in terms of, human resources. All those resources that they have, there has to be a way to sustain and to sustain them in a way that you keep deploying the impact that you want. So that is where social entrepreneurs come in and what social enterprises are. It's like a blend of social projects and, a typical entrepreneurial organization, should I say, a mix between them. They're employing commercial values and they are solving the social problem at the same time. So, and I think this is where a lot of the pitches I've listened to, this is where we fall in. A lot of us are not looking at just, a quick project. Hey, let's fix water here and let's move. People are thinking about sustainability. They're thinking about starting something that, can grow and can expand and upscale and even yield a greater impact along the line, okay? However, if you're going to be a social entrepreneur, right, there are some behavioral changes that I think that, co-founders, founders, stakeholders, people need to imbibe while they're developing the solutions that they are passionately, involved in developing, okay? And I kind of split them into, I took the time to split them into skills, knowledges, and attitudes. Even though people will lump this all up together, but it's important that we talk about them differently so that you understand a skill is quite different from what you know, and it's also quite different from your attitude or your outlook to the tough terrain that you are undoubtedly going to find yourself as a social entrepreneur. Of course, with your skills, you have to be creative and innovative. And I can see that we're in no short supply. Everyone here is very creative with how they tackle the problem and how they prefer solutions. Of course, team building, leadership, time management. Also, you should be able to understand pattern and trends. Of course, not to blindly follow the pattern and trend that you don't say, oh, this is what everybody is doing, so I'm just going to do it. No, but to find out how you can weave and adapt your innovation to fit the trend that is, that is the trend that is at the moment that you find yourself, okay? So pattern and trend recognition is actually a skill, okay? There are people who not just because understanding pattern, if you think about intelligence is based on understanding patterns. People now understand, okay, this is what has happened before. This is the experience I've had before. How do I use this to either prevent a problem or to tackle the same problem when I find it next time, okay? That is the very rudimentary, that's the very, okay, sorry, I was just reading the chat. That is like the basics of where intelligence started from, okay? And that is also something that will help you thrive, whether it's in marketing, in innovation, in management, okay? In strategy, okay? In investment, whatever aspects of running your social enterprise that you find yourself, pattern and trend recognition is going to be very important, okay? Also your knowledge, okay? Social and emotional intelligence, if you're going to be working, not if, when you work with a team, okay? Or even when you work with people who are on the other end receiving your impact, you have to have social and emotional intelligence, okay? Of course, financial management and various investment strategies, whether it's people, time, equity, and so on. Then your attitudes, right? You have to be empathetic. I don't think anybody would be in a social enterprise, you're running a social enterprise, if you didn't have empathy, okay? Empathy for people who are suffering, and then you can alleviate the suffering, alleviate the suffering by preferring your solution. Of course, you have to be resilient. A lot of people are going to tell you no, okay? So the question is, do you pack your bags and go home when someone tells you no? Okay, you have to be optimistic. You have to have a growth mindset, okay? It's okay to start small. I always say that it's okay to start small, but where you would tell the people who will make the enterprise, the team, okay, the founders that will make the biggest impact is, what is your growth mindset? Okay, what do you do from here? Okay, there's a lot of startup. Every day people are starting up, people are having ideas. Every day people are moving from that idea stage to the early phases of startup, but the growth mindset sometimes is not there. And you can see that is the biggest factor that would separate successful business from businesses that will be pushed along on the side. Because you have to be open-minded and you have to be self-motivated. Platforms like Skills Outside School would always be there to support you, yes, but you have to be self-motivated, okay? So your solutions, you have to think, okay, what can I do? Okay, how do I remain resilient? How do I keep going about solving this problem, even though I'm faced with so much obstacles? Okay, so skills, knowledge, and attitudes that I feel like every social entrepreneur has if they're going to be social change makers, okay? Also, a very important skill is problem solving, okay, which is recognizing opportunities from problems. And I kind of detailed a lot of steps that you can, imbibe with distilling, a problem from a solution. A solution from a problem. Sorry. And this is a very important skill as a social entrepreneur, because as you know, social entrepreneurs are a unique breed. They are thinking about solving a problem. That is why they are in the business, okay? That's why they started the enterprise. That's why they wake up in the morning. They see a problem and they say, oh, how do I solve this problem? Of course, and make profits, okay, by solving this problem. Okay, if you contrast that with most other entrepreneurs who would be, okay, riding on a profit trail, or, just putting in money here and yielding profit quick because this investment is profitable at this time. Social entrepreneurs are in it for the long game and to solve a problem. So if you do not have problem solving skills, you might be at a loss as a social entrepreneur. So here are some steps that I think will help you with distilling your solution from your problem. One is to identify and define the problem. Like I said, defining the problem is really, some people might push that along the way, but it's really important. You have people who would define a problem like, I want to solve policy education. You identify a problem. What you've done is you've just identified the problem. You haven't defined how you're going to solve policy education. Are you going to invest in classrooms? Are you going to invest in the technology to upscale the classrooms that are already existing? Are you going to invest in resources? Okay, because quality education too will also mean quality educators, quality teachers, right? Are you going to invest in resources? Okay, so you are going to work with the teachers you have, but you're going to be investing in resources. Or are you going to invest in learning programs? So, hey, you're going to go to an already existing school and deploy your programs that you think would be of help. You need to identify and define the problem that you're trying to solve, so you know exactly how to tailor your solution, okay? Also, you need to prioritize the problem based on size, your potential impact, and the urgency. Because sometimes you find out that, oh, my solution is actually a solution to many problems in this society. It will solve world hunger, it will solve poverty, it will solve unemployment, it will solve this, that, which is fantastic, okay? But it looks good on paper, but when it comes time to actually carry out the solution, you will find out that you may be biting off more than you can chew, right? So it is very important that you prioritize what problem you're solving. Okay, my initial problem I want to solve is in distributing goods, okay, from point A to point B. That is the problem I want to solve. However, I'm also going to solve the problem of unemployment and so on and so forth while solving this problem. But this is my initial, this is the start. This is where I'm going to start. This is where I'm going to put the X and begin, right? You have to be able to prioritize or prioritize your problems based on what is the urgency, what is the impact, okay? And even what is in your capacity to solve, which is also something people don't talk about. They have lofty dreams, but they're not thinking, hey, what is in my pocket? What is in my network? What resources do I have available to me to actually undertake this lofty ambition that I have, or to solve this big problem, this challenging problem in my society, okay? So you should prioritize problems. Economists will call it a scale of preference, right? You should have that too while you are tackling problems. Also, you should complete a root cause analysis. I kind of talked about this in the beginning. You should not solve a problem that is based on another problem. That is the quickest recipe to failure, okay? You're going to run into more problems than you'll be able to tackle. Why? Because if there is a problem that is depending on another problem, it makes sense to solve the underlying problem, or at least find a way to compensate for the root problem before you go on to, talk about the problem that you're going to solve. For example, you see a lot of people who talk about technology, want to bring in technology, but the thing is, do people even have resources, or even do people even have that how do I put it? Is it convenient for people to go out of their way to carry the resources? If I'm going to be investing in maybe giving people smartphones, there's a technology that's there that is very available. I'm not going to call the name of the company, but what they do in Nigeria is that they give loans for people to obtain gadgets, phones, and so that they can use that, which is fantastic. But a lot of people, the interest rate on some of these products are so much that people are not even able to pay off the debt, not to talk of the interest sometimes, okay? Then you ask yourself, is it not depending on another problem? Of course, there's another problem of the low standard of living, which has to be tackled before that other problem, okay? So you will not, I'm not saying that you should have you always have a 100% foolproof plan. I'm not saying that, but it makes sense to understand the root cause, okay? And then see how you can compensate before you go on to deploy your solution, okay? And also develop a variety of possible solutions. You don't have the first idea and say, oh, this is the idea I'm going with, and then you are all in, or you are investing on every single resource that you have. I think it's important that you have a range of possible solutions, and then you pick the one that has the most impact, okay? Also, you should evaluate the possible solution and decide the one that is most effective, okay? So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solutions, pick the one that is most effective. Also, plan and implement your solution. I will always advise that you implement your solution on a small scale, and then you keep upscaling until you have the enterprise of your dreams, should I say, okay? But make sure that there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of research behind the moves that you are making with your social enterprise. All right, so how do you identify problems? Of course, problems that are in your line of interest. Because if you notice, people who are in their line of interest, they already have the upper hand with sustainability, right? They will always be more motivated to go about, their business than someone who is just doing it because, okay, they find themselves there, or because, this is where I studied, so, might as well, right? So while entrepreneurs will understand the pain points, I'm reading what's on the slide, while entrepreneurs would understand the pain points of customers in order to develop an effective product and a sustained market value, social entrepreneurs also need to develop profitable products that solve a real life problem in their society, okay? So it's solving a problem, right? But at the same time, you are developing profitable products. However, it's always that talk. There's always that talk of war, profitability versus what am I interested in. So I want to give you an idea on where you can get, when you're pinpointing problems to solve, where you should always look at. You can look at what you're interested in. Okay, a lot of you sounded very passionate about what you're doing, and you feel like, okay, this is what I can do to help my society. That is fantastic, because it already means that you have the upper and you are already self-motivated. But you can also there are other ways you can solve some problems. One of them is profit leads. This is where you find typical entrepreneurs, where they will look at what is the market asking for at this moment. They look at what the market is asking for, and then they throw in their investment quickly so they can make a return. Well, social entrepreneurs can do this as well, as long as, of course, you understand that while you're doing this, you're also solving a problem. Also, you can look at an issue in your community. So maybe it could be an issue that you intend to establish a project that you will solve short term. So it's not something you're going to do for 15, 10 years, maybe 7, 5, 3, 2, even 1 year, you're done, and then you move on, okay? So you are diagnosing problems in your society, and then you're preferring solution quickly, and then you're moving on, okay? However you look at it, I think if you look at all the sources of, I wouldn't want to say sources of problems, but that's what it is, sources of problems that social entrepreneurs look to solve. It will either fall into profit lead interest, or a prevailing issue in your community, whether it's just in your community or even globally, okay? These are some of the sources of problems that social entrepreneurs delve in, right? Now, how to identify these problems? So I have questions, okay? I wrote them as questions deliberately because these are questions you should ask yourself. When you start your business, not your business, but when you start your social enterprise, okay? Because it's not just any business, it's a social enterprise. When you start it, while you're running it, as the years keep going by, you ask yourself these questions. First is this problem, am I passionate about solving it? Like I said, if you're passionate, you'll be self-motivated, okay? So if you are passionate about solving the problem, you will also most likely be passionate about, understanding the ins and outs and how to maximize your solution, make bigger impact. All those are usually tied to passion, okay? So it's very important that you're passionate about the problem that you're trying to solve, okay? Also ask yourself, is this problem I'm trying to solve, is it an inconvenience, okay? You don't want to solve a problem that you are the only one facing, then you're not making social impact, okay? If, for example, I wake up and be like, oh goodness, I wish I could stream more stuff on my phone. Well, some people will have that problem too, of course, but is it going to give me, if I should invest money, time, and resources in this, is this something that would be very impactful? I don't know, okay? I'm not going to sit here and answer that, but answer this question while you're thinking about your solution. What the problem I'm trying to solve, is it an inconvenience? If it's not an inconvenience, either modify or expand the scope of the problem that you're trying to solve, or maybe move on, okay? That's always an option. Of course, ask yourself, to what extent will my solution solve this problem, okay? Like, again, if your problem is based on another problem, your solution might be inefficient, okay? Also, if your solution is only solving a part of the problem, it's very important that you understand that in the beginning, okay? If you want to tackle a problem like hunger, okay? Hunger, you are in a very remote part in whatever African country you find yourself, and you are tackling hunger, okay? And then maybe your solution to tackling the hunger is to maybe manufacture is to maybe engage farmers and give them, empower them with the resources that they need to farm, and of course provide food. You need to ask yourself, this solution I'm having, providing farmers with fertilizers, with industrial equipment, am I solving the entire problem of hunger? Okay. If not, I'm not saying that makes the solution automatically wrong. No. If not, then you ask yourself, okay, if there are other problems that is not within my scope to solve, can I partner with other people? Right? Can I scale my business? Okay. What can I do? It's very important that you ask yourself this question, okay? So that you don't put yourself in a box for no reason, right? So ask yourself, to what extent is the solution that I have solving this problem? Also ask yourself, is my problem going to cause additional problems in the society, right? If you're going to be recycling plastic waste, are there additional problems you're solving? Because when you are recycling plastic waste, you're still making things that will, with time, would also still need to be recycled. What am I doing about this, okay? For example, there was a very interesting pitch I heard about plastic waste, where the person said, listen, I'm going to make this, that. I think he was talking about making trampolines or something like that from the plastic waste that they recycled. Well, it was fantastic. But he said, with every product that they sell into the market, they make sure that the people who are buying the product are offered such an incentive that they can return those products when they are no longer in use, of course, for a depreciated value, right? So they will not pay you as much as you pay them to get it in the first place, of course. For depreciated value, they can recall those products and then we make them back into society again. And I'm like, that's fantastic, because when you are recycling products, you are still making new products that go back into the same market that will end up on the street again, causing the same pollution, okay? So if your solution is going to create additional problems, you should understand that so that you can curb them in the beginning, okay? And then ask yourself, has anyone tried to solve this solution before? And if no one has tried, ask yourself why. If people have tried, ask yourself, what did they undergo? Okay, what problems did they face while they were trying to solve a problem? A very good friend of mine will always say, why fall in the same pit, okay, as everybody has? What she's trying to say is, why would you have to go through the same pain points that a predecessor has gone through when you can understudy them and understand, okay, this is what they've done in the past. So that way my solution can, avoid these problems. Yes, I'll face new problems, of course, but at least I have avoided these problems that I could have faced. So it's a very important question to ask yourself. And then ask yourself, does anyone want my solution? Okay, in your head, the solution might sound fantastic, but sometimes people might not want your solution. They might want it, but it's too pricey. They can't afford it. So, they go somewhere else, okay? They might want your solution, but it's not accessible. It's too difficult for them to access it. So they move on. So ask yourself, could people want my solution in its entirety? Can they pay for it? Can they access it? Is it going to be useful to them in short term or in long term? Ask yourself those questions. Okay, so don't just ask, oh, people want it, and then you go about it. Ask yourself, how will people want my product? It's when Netflix CEO was speaking, said the idea of Netflix was to maximize the lifetime of the user. So they spend so much, and if you see, Netflix is always dipping in the stock market, right? I think now they're reporting a 40% loss in investment or something like that, right? Please don't quote me, but yeah, they're investing so much and they're not recouping it back. But the idea is simply, in the long term, they hope to invest in the lifetime value of a customer. So if they can just get one customer, the customer doesn't need to leave because they have all they can watch, okay, for a lifetime, as long as they are on Netflix. So that is their solution. So, right, when you are tackling your solution and asking yourself, does anyone want my solution? Sorry, not your problem, but your solution. When you're asking yourself, does anyone want my solution? Please be very thorough in asking yourself all these questions, because somebody may want your problem, someone may want your solution, sorry, someone may want that solution, but it's inaccessible, for some reason they want it, but they can't get it. It's as good as, they didn't want your solution in the beginning. So ask yourself that problem. You might be tackling a very important social issue, right? You may be tackling it, but in the process of tackling it, people still can't access the solution, then it's counterproductive. So you have to think about it very thoroughly. Also ask yourself, am I solving the right problem? Okay, you might be passionate about it, but it's not the right problem that you're solving. A lot of times you see lots of people come out with, okay, I'm solving the problem of, it's very rampant one I see when they say they're solving gender-based violence, and then they subject these girls to rigorous interviews, and I'm like, are you solving the right problem? Is this what, when you say you want to solve the problem of gender-based violence and sexual assault, especially against the female folks, are you really solving the right problem, or are you going about solving this problem in the right way, should I say? So you should ask yourself these questions while you are identifying a problem that you want to solve, okay? So I have a quick task that I want us to do, and it's the problem solution balance that every entrepreneur, social entrepreneur faces. I wrote down some problem statements, okay, and I tried to be as specific as I could. But of course, I'm not perfect. In the session we had yesterday, someone even corrected the third problem and said, hey, in my community, it's not about scarce land, but it's actually about scarce agricultural equipment to till this land and make products. So of course, I'm always welcome to learn, right, from everybody. But I have 3 problems that I kind of stated, and I want to see what your solution will be. The first is, I said some patients wait for hours or more to see a doctor at public hospitals and end up having to see a generalist before a specialist. This has happened to me a lot of times, where you go to a public hospital. In Nigeria, we call public hospitals, I don't know how people refer to public hospitals elsewhere, but here we mean government-owned hospitals because they are cheaper, right, than the private-owned hospitals. So you go to these hospitals because they're cheaper, but you end up having to wait on might I say, a very long agonizing queue. And at the end of that queue, you are granted the right to see a generalist. One of those days I had a terrible toothache. Okay, so I had to wait all the way on this queue to still see a generalist. And I'm like, are you I'm like, I have toothache, I need to see a dentist. And she's like, let me diagnose you first. I'm like, oh my goodness. And she diagnoses me and tells me, hey, you need to see a dentist. I'm like, I know that I have toothache. Of course I'm supposed to see a dentist, right? So this is some problems that people face. They want to go to public hospitals. They don't have the means to go to a private hospital because it's expensive, but they get to public hospitals and the queue is, it's long. They have to wait hours and sometimes they end up seeing a generalist. It's a problem that some people face. How would you tackle this solution? Okay. Another I wrote is then the distribution of local delicacies. Now I know that it's not just Nigerians that we have here, but I listed some Nigerian delicacies, tapioca, awara, masa. These are, and I said the distribution of these local delicacies is not as efficient, resulting in the possible loss of products and the inability to reach a wider market. If you have a solution, to this problem, that would be interesting to hear. And the third problem is the fastest growing areas in the world, such as sub-Saharan Africa, is facing a problem of scarce land for farming as a result of overpopulation. I told you someone corrected this problem, but of course, overpopulation at some point is going to lead to this problem. It has already happened in Asia, in China. So it's not as if this is a problem that we're making up. If population is growing, land will inevitably become scarce. So if you have a solution to any of these problems, state the problem. So you can say problem 1, 2, or 3, and then share your solution in the chat so I can look at it and then, of course, read it out. Of course, I would pick a solution at random and then ask us to communicate, talk a little bit about where we're coming from with our solution. So we will not dwell with, let me just give another 10 minutes for us to read this problem. You can restate the problem. That's very allowed. You can restate the problem, but I want to see the solution that you have at the end of the day. Okay, so I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. So make sure you send a chat, okay, so that we can call on people so that we don't just start unmuting and everybody becomes rowdy. Okay. Okay, so let me just give another 5 minutes. I hope we're still around. We haven't logged off.
Maybe we can raise our hand when. So please let's if we have a solution, just raise your hand so that you can unmute and speak.
Okay, so let me give an extra 2 minutes. Okay, I think I'll just pick someone to speak. Okay.
Daniel is raising up his hand. Please, Bella, you can unmute and speak. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Good day, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my
welcome.
idea.
You're welcome. Just introduce yourself so we know you.
Right. I'm Bello Olakiwa Abdisalam.
Okay.
I'm an undergraduate medical student of Ahmad Bello University, Zaria, Nigeria.
Yeah.
All right. For the first problem, I think the issue of telemedicine will go a long way to solve the problem, the first problem. Though there are some bottlenecks that needs to be overcome before we can implement telemedicine. For instance, now, the reason why most people are not going to private hospitals is because of its cost. So, and telemedicine again is associated with using technologies. Same time, you need to buy data and buying all these smartphones to be able to use, or laptop, or all sorts of gadgets to be able to use telemedicine. But if there is a way of like, okay, let's say if we can build a center in each rural area, for instance now, we came up with an idea to build a center in each rural area. For instance, let's give, I'm currently in Samaru now. Let's say we have centers for telemedicine in Samaru, where probably now, since we know that people are not having access to, people are having problem with the cost of buying the gadgets. So we are now going to build maybe a video conferencing gadgets that will be installed in each, probably in each street. Whenever someone need appointment or need to see a medical practitioner, the person can directly go to that center, to that video conferencing center, and from there communicate to the doctor. And I think this will directly the cost of buying data, since this thing is the video conferencing center is going to be for everyone can use it, whether you are rich or you are poor. Now, then the person will be able to communicate with fixed appointment and then be attended to by the medical practitioners, and this will cause the turnaround time will be lesser compared to going to hospital to go and see doctors, where you have to queue for a lot period of time before you'll be attended to. But it's my own problem with this kind of idea is it's sustainability, because you know this gadget too, now they have to be powered by electricity. Though that one we can come up with the idea of solar to power the gadgets. And again, what of the workforce that will be attending to this video conferencing unit now? For instance, now the number of doctors currently, let's use Nigeria for example, is far below the requirement and the minimum requirement by WHO. So, so this idea is, there are some, but all these things have to be overcome before we can actually implement the idea I'm suggesting for this, the first problem. I think that's all I have for the first problem.
Yeah,
thank
fantastic.
You.
Yes, thank you so much. You see, this is why it's always good to have team members, because they will always throw light. He just told us that there is already a root problem. We don't even have enough doctors. So no wonder you are standing, you have to queue up in a long line. There's no enough doctors. So we have to tackle that problem first of all, before we talk about, hey, do we have an intermediary technology like the conferencing center that he said, or like even an application that, or I think that's what he mentioned. Before we can now talk about those technology interventions that will now help you be able to remotely book an appointment with a doctor. So thank you so much. Yes, actually, there's a root problem. We don't have enough doctors. So that's why in fact, you will go to a hospital and you would find doctors who are just out of medical schools attending to you as generalists, because there's just not enough doctors. Doctors are leaving. I guess it's difficult to get into medical school. There is so much underlying problem. Thank you so much. And of course, we're talking to a doctor, so he is very well aware of this problem. So my device is funny. Let me see if I can. Somebody else was raising their hand. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I thought someone raised their hands. Okay. Is there I really, my device is funny, so I can't really see people who are raising their hands, but is there any other person raising their hand?
No, no one is raising their hands for now.
Okay, so thank you. I think we can move on. We had a very insightful solution, which shows that our social entrepreneurs are really thinking about the problem. They're not only looking at the problem at face value. They're dissecting it to see, what else is the problem? What would be a typical, scalable, sustainable solution that we can apply to solve this problem? Okay, instead of just jumping at the first idea. So thank you. I'm really happy to know that what we talked about was of great value. So here is an activity that I want us to do. Okay, most of us already had problems that we wanted to solve before, of course, we came to this session. So, but what I want us to do is now to step into our social entrepreneurial shoes. Okay, put on your social entrepreneurial hat. Okay, and put on your social entrepreneurial glasses as well, and look at the problem that you've already stated. Okay, see if you can restate your problem in a way that is more specific, is more direct. You're looking at other factors beyond just as such in that instance, and then you will write your problem statement. And in addition, I want you to think about 3 possible solutions. Mr. Bello, right, that just gave us a solution to a problem, opened our eyes to find out that the first solution that you have might not be the best, because you might think about it and be like, okay, or even do more research and then find out that there is underlying problems. So there's a better solution that you could have applied. So I want us to write down 3 possible solutions, because the only way that we're really thinking about a problem is if we're writing more than one solution and then we're looking at all the solutions, especially in one after the other, and then looking at, okay, what is the best solution to the problem that we have that we're trying to solve. Okay, so write your problem statement. Okay, it's also very great for documentation purposes, and then 3 possible solutions to your problem. Okay, not your problem, but the problem that you're trying to tackle in your society. So I'm going to give 15 minutes for you to do that. Okay, you don't have to do it in the chat here. You can do it in, it's a personal task. So I'll just give 15 minutes for us to tackle that. So let me give 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm being quiet because we're waiting for the 15 minutes to lapse, of course. So take the time out to really think about everything that we've covered in this module and ask yourself those pertinent questions. And then, re-architect your solution and your solutions. Okay, there is nothing wrong with an enterprise having more than one solution under its belt. After all, it's for a long term. It's aimed at running the long race. So so yeah, have more than one solution. Maybe you might have to prioritize based on resources, but have more than one solutions so that you'll be sure that you're really thinking about the problem. Okay, so I don't know if everyone can hear me, but so while we're reflecting and doing this, I think we should move on so we don't prolong the session. But it's beyond the 15 minutes. Take as much time as you need to craft your problem statement as appropriate, right? Okay, so yeah, so we've watched this video, so let's just move right on. So how to select the best ideas to solve the identified problem. So now we're moving on from the stage of talking about problem. Of course, we're social entrepreneurs. What else is there to talk about other than solving the problem in the society? But now that we have we've identified and defined the suitable problem that we want to solve, we can move on to solve to pick out the best ideas or solutions that we have preferred to solving that problem. The first that we can do is that make sure that you have more than one ideas, and that's why I recommended having 3. More than one ideas, like I said, will mean that you are thinking deeply about the problem, and then you are diagnosing and finding better fits for solving the problem that you are faced with. Okay, I just want to be sure my video was on. Second is focus on your passion, right? And skill, but it's very important that you focus on your experience. If you are passionate about something and you're not experienced, I would indulge you to take the time to gain that experience. The CEO of our company, Tungsten Entrepreneurship Holdings, he by trade, he's a civil engineer. He went to school and he read civil engineering. But by the time he began to launch his investment in education, which is the Tungsten Group, he realized that, hey, I don't have the experience, okay? I don't have the experience. And so he spent, a good number of years, quit his job as a civil engineer and then went into education. And if we know anything about education in Nigeria, it's a very unglamorous profession. Take it from me, I'm a teacher, but it's unglamorous in the sense that it's not well paid. And there's so many solutions that we are hoping would, come the way of education. But he quit his job and then he went into the education space. Why? Because he understood that being experienced is a greater asset than just being passionate about it. So if you're passionate about solving energy problems in your society, you need to do the backbreaking work of being experienced enough to talk on that subject and to be able to understand the loopholes, the bottlenecks, all the aspects that surround the solution that you want to deploy, right? Second is, of course, write a mission and vision statement, which we will talk about, because this will help to direct the longevity of your business. I always say, personally, I've started a lot of projects, but a lot of them are nowhere today because there is no longevity, okay? 5 years, and then you ask me, why did you start this project? I really don't remember what it was about. So it's very important that you take a lot of time, okay? The mission and vision statement is just a couple of words stringed together, okay? But it's also a very powerful tool in deciding why you will be in business in the next 20 years, because you will clearly understand where you're starting and where you're starting from and where you're headed, right? Also, study successful social entrepreneurs that are of interest, of course, in your interested fields, because you can learn from them, okay? You can learn from them. They can be potential mentors. They could even be potential, they could also be a very valuable asset in your network that would help you unlock a lot of resources that you will need. So it's always important that you understudy them. You even go out of your way to ask them to be your mentors, as the case may be. Of course, find similar products or services to the one that you're creating and then compare. It would be really naive for a person to say, you know, I'm creating one of a kind solution. That's very rare in this day and age, because you would be tackling a problem that somebody has tackled before, and they've encountered some problems before, and they have taken the time to create a product. It only makes sense that you understudy that product. You know, compare what their price point is, their production, their distribution. Okay, carry out a SWOT analysis. Okay, it's of course what means strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Okay, and then establish the niche. This is the important part. Okay, about surveying a similar product or service in the market. Remember, if you're a social entrepreneur, you are not just solving a problem, you are a full-fledged entrepreneur, so to speak, right? All the commercial strategies that an entrepreneur would utilize, they should be, those same skills should be in your court as well, right? So you should establish what will be my niche. Yes, I have competitors. Yes, somebody is making a product like me. Yes, I'm going to be in a similar market. Yes, we have similar customers that have the same pain points. However, this is my niche, okay? Rarely do you see, if you look at companies, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, similar taste, you know, similar branding. If you won't ask me, I'm not a similar branding, of course, their colors are different. Actually, the branding is quite different, but similar packaging in the sense that they are mostly bottled. But you will see that they are very distinct products, and they make it very important that they distinguish themselves, because that will be what will give you your identity in the market that you find yourself, okay? Of course, test your idea. You can test your idea by writing a business plan. People don't see it that way, right? Because a business plan can be quite boring to write. But in the course of writing your business plan, you're going to, by the time you get to the end of the journey of writing your business plan, you'll have asked yourself a lot of important questions. Okay, you have carried out a lot of important research. So in a sense, writing your business plan is a way to test your idea. Okay, because when you ask us, you get to a point in writing your business plans, and then you ask yourself this problem, does it fit? And if it doesn't fit, you have to move on, right? Of course, develop a business and a revenue model. This is, if you have no business model, there is no revenue model, trust me, there will be no longevity. Okay, it's not just enough to say, hey, I want to create this product and I want to put it on that shelf to sell. Good. Okay, but what is your business model? What is going to determine whether you're going to still be in business? Because you have to organize all the strategies and operations around all the aspects of the production of the product or the service, all the way to the end product, the end, all the way to the end user for your product or service. So you have to understand all those strategies, all those operations. Everything has to be tied together in a neat string that you understand the ins and outs of all the processes. And you can only do that when you have a business model and a revenue model. The revenue model, of course, would be how do you generate income? Okay, this is a lot of questions that NGOs don't ask themselves, and that's why they get funds this year. Next year they're struggling to pay their staff. The next year, you know, they're probably out of business. I was, you know, I actually have had a lot of experience working with such, you know, organizations. Of course, I'm not going to mention them, but the problem was there was no business or revenue model. Most of them just depended on getting grants, okay? And then when there's no grants, of course, there's no business. It's as simple as that, okay? So, but you have to be more deliberate in planning your operations, is the summary of what I'm saying here, okay? And also be prepared to pitch your ideas. Pitching your ideas to your mom also, of course, counts. All right. Pitching your ideas to your to immediate people in your network, to pitching your ideas on a grand stage, to pitching your ideas to investors and other stakeholders. When you pitch your ideas, you truly are testing your ideas, because you will see when you pitch your ideas, people will have questions, especially investors. Nobody's going to put their money behind something that is, you know, shady, or something that they don't understand, or something that looks like it's going to fail, right? They will prefer to put their investment behind something that is, you know, that is more prone to success. So create a pitch deck. All these documents will always prepare you to, you know, to sell your business, right? And this is also the part where I would say your team members, if you do have a team. If you don't have one, you know, it's important that you assemble one, okay? And if you do, it's very important that you employ your team in all this process of deploying testing your idea. And finally, if you have the resources, you can build a prototype, okay? the prototype is not just limited to a product, as a service as well. A prototype could be delivering your service to small communities just to see how people react, okay, and then get feedback from them. If it's a product, okay, my neighbor, she bakes cakes, and she has a very lucrative Instagram and Jumia store, should I say, where she sells pastries, right? But when she started, she took the time to make her pastries, package them nicely, go from house to house and ask them, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about the packaging? What do you even think about my delivery, right? Timing and all that and all that. If you placed your order and you got it 30 minutes later, is that fine? That was really smart, okay, because she went to the process of getting all the details that she needs for her prototype. So by the time she was deploying her product, she had a lot of understanding of what she was getting herself into. So you may not be at the prototype stage because, of course, cakes and pastries is a different topic, okay, when we're talking about social impact in the environment. But if you have the means, deploy your products or your service within a small scale. Recently, we were working with teachers, right? And this is something, of course, that's open to anybody who's a teacher. So we're working with teachers with a curriculum, but we want to deploy it, and it's a retreat for teachers. We want to deploy it among a small select group of teachers, which of course anybody is invited to participate in if you are a teacher. And the idea is to deploy it in that small scale so that we understand exactly what we need to deploy such a project in a large scale. This is the same thing that you would deal with when you are deploying your project to your social projects. You start small, and then, of course, you understand what exactly it means to upscale. So a lot of important data will be collected while you carry out each of this process of testing your ideas. Now I think we have enough to get ready to implement our project, of course, / enterprise, even though we know enterprise is a lot more work, a lot more investment, and you have to be very keen with the soft skills that you need to bring people on board. Most likely, if you have a social enterprise, you're not going to be able to do it by yourself. You will need important partners and important investors and other important stakeholders, right? But we have enough knowledge, okay, to get ready to implement our social project. Now, I think this is the point where you can focus on your mission and vision statement. Of course, we're still in the early stages, but you understand your idea a little better. Hopefully, you also understand your solution, or the solution that you have picked. You understand what the impact of that solution will be, who your target audience is, where and when you're going to deploy that solution. It's important now that you write your mission and vision statement that will guide you throughout the entire span that your enterprise or your project is going to last, okay? If we know, I'm sure we know what vision and mission statements are, but I wrote a very short definition where I said a mission statement defines the company's business, its objectives, and its approach to reach its objectives, okay? So you have to be very clear on what your business objectives are, why you're waking up in the morning to establish your enterprise or your social project. That has to be clearly stated in your mission statement. And then I said the vision statement describes the desired future position of the company. Elements of the mission and vision statement are often combined to provide a statement of the company's purposes, goals, and values. Okay, so think of mission statements as short-term and vision statement as long-term. Of course, the vision statement is not short-term in the sense that it's only for today, in the sense that it's just stating your objectives, but your vision statement is saying, okay, this is where I'm headed. I did have Tesla's mission and vision statements here, but of course, it's not displaying on my slide for some reason, but we all have access to internet. I indulge you to look at different companies, their mission and their vision statements. It will really inspire you to see where people's headspace is when they come up with their business, okay? Okay, people's headspace are when they come up with their business, when they are calculating their purposes, their goals, their values, where they ought to be, what they are trying to achieve, for the larger society and for their company as well. So I have a little task for you, and of course, I always like to tick boxes because I think that is the neatest way to keep track of your progress. So I said, tackle the best solution that you've identified. So now, obviously, you have a solution. Now take up these boxes. If your business doesn't have a name, you have to give it a catchy name, okay? And then write a mission and vision statement. So we have 15 minutes for this task. Okay, you can just post. We're not going to just dwell because this is the last slide that I have to present. So you can just post your mission and vision statement on your respective group chats. Okay. So Shalakwa, if you're listening, we were at the end of I'm at the end of my presentation. So
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much, Fatima. That was a very exciting session. So I don't know if any one or two people have questions. You can type it in the chat box, or you can raise your hand if you want to ask your questions, please. If you have any questions, please, can you kindly just signify, raise your hand, or quickly type it in the chat box so we can get that. Okay, Fatima, please let me just ask a question then. Okay, okay, so the question I want to ask, this mission and vision statements here, are there, how will I put it now? You know, sometimes we write vision, we write mission statements, or like how there is a this thing that is an outcome, impact, something like that. So you think this is this statement is an outcome, but is it really an outcome? Maybe it's an impact, that sort of thing. So when you write like your mission and vision statement, like how do you, because you can write any statement really, and it might seem all right to you, but does it really speak to that business or whatnot that you are doing? So I don't know, I just need a bit clarification on the mission and vision statement. When you are writing it, maybe what are things put into consideration? Maybe there are some questions you're meant to ask, something like that.
Yeah, actually, that is a very important question. Thank you so much, Jolape, because by the time you get to the point that you want to write a mission and vision statement, you clearly understand where your solution fits in the world of solutions, because everybody's always coming up with a solution at every given minute. But you already understand where you are in the marketplace, or in the case of a social entrepreneur, where you are at when you want to deploy the solution, okay, to solve the problem in your society. So with that being said, by the time you want to write your mission and vision statement, of course, your mission statement is stating what your objective is, right? So this is me, this is my enterprise, this is what I am set out to do, right? But your vision statement, right, is saying, okay, now in the long term, okay, I wish I had shared the Tesla and this thing. That would have been really.
Okay, let me see if I can share it from my end, because I think I have your slide. So let me just see if I can share it from my end.
Yeah, because I don't know why my device is
okay, just a minute. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Can you see my slide, please?
Yes, it shows. Yeah. Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So let me just scroll down to the text. Yes, I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you. This is it, right? Yes. So you will see, this is it was the shortest example that I thought it hit the nail on the head. So let me read out the mission and vision statement for Tesla. The mission statement says to create the most compelling car company of the 21st century by driving the world's transition to electrical vehicles. You see, very specific. This is how they want to solve this is how they want to solve this is the problem that they want to solve in the world. They want cars to be electric, because that way, of course, we're tackling some climate issues, right? Very specific. When I read the vision statement, it says to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy So right, so which means in the future, you can see Tesla's moves. Those of us who love to read how entrepreneurs are moving in the market, you can see what he's doing, what he's buying. I heard he's looking to buy the whole of Twitter. I'm hearing, okay, let's not dwell too much, right? Because I really, yeah, he's really one of the people that inspire me. But you see his mission statement. He's not just about electric cars. That is the mission statement for now for Tesla. But in the future, they want the world to transition to sustainable energy, whether it's solar, whether it's electric. As long as we're leaving fossil fuels behind, we're leaving, somebody mentioned wasting water in production of fabrics. Okay, all those wastage, okay, so to say, we're leaving them behind and we're moving towards a world of sustainable energy. So this is what we mean by mission and vision statement. Thank you, Shola, for sharing this. So when you think of your mission statement, right, you are thinking about, okay, this product now, so to speak, but the vision statement is, okay, in the future, this is what I want to solve, okay? So that is the difference between the mission and vision statement. As you can see, they are usually short. So if you have a very lengthy mission statement, well, it might mean that you're not very focused. Okay, so you might need to really look at it, okay, and as well as your vision statement. Thank you, Ashla. I don't know if I answered your question, but
yes,
you kind of helped me.
Thank you very much for an insightful session. I learned a lot personally. Like I was saying yesterday, like, well, even though I'm not like an entrepreneur, like I can advance my entrepreneurship skills now and, get all the insights from this session and, it will direct me to the right path. I don't know if you have like a concluding point or like a round-off point for the participants before we close the session.
Yeah, okay, yes, I do have a concluding point. First of all, of course, somebody was asking if we're going to share the slides. I'm sure they'll be very available for us to read and, just refresh our minds. So that is a done deal. But also, so those of us who are really getting our foot wet with entrepreneurship, you can look up Tungsten Entrepreneurship Holdings. You can go on our website. Of course, you can reach me personally. We are always inviting of new entrepreneurs. Of course, SOSF is also here to help you with your entrepreneurial journey. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to add. Okay, and also, entrepreneurship is a journey that is undertaken. It's a very arduous journey, so you have to be someone who is very focused and who is also someone who is also within a very important network. So if you've always found entrepreneurship hard in the past, it's usually because you're not surrounded by the network that you need. When you have the network you need, it's always easier to wake up in the morning because you will be motivated. So I urge you to seek out that network. Of course, in SOSF, there's that kind of foundation, that kind of network that you can always leverage on. So yeah, if that would be my concluding remarks. So thank you so much for listening as well.
Thank you very much, Fatima. Aliu. I'm sure we all learned a lot. If you have questions for Fatima, please, you could always post it on the group chat and she will be very, very willing to answer your questions. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. And okay, for the assessment, it will also be posted on the group chat, where a brief of it is the initial problem and solutions we submitted during the application stage. We're meant to refine it to be sure that is exactly what we want to implement going forward. So when it's time to choose between the advanced and the basic, you are sure, okay, this is the problem you want to solve, this is the solution you want to implement on that problem. But that will also be posted on the group chat so that everyone can be carried along. Thank you very much for joining. I want to thank everyone for joining this session and to be available for the subsequent section as well. Thank you very much, Fatima. Thank you very, very much. We learned a lot. Thank you, everyone. So we've come to the end of today's session. Do have a lovely day.
Yeah.
Okay.